Hello, this is NFL Chaos with Jeremy. I am Jeremy, and I bring the chaos. Welcome to Wacky Wednesday with Jeremy and Adam, and our special guest, who I will introduce right after this. I would regret it if people look back at the first episode and you weren't on it.
Yeah, well, I like that. It's called forward thinking.
We have one of the worst beats in the world. We do. Our beat is horrible.
Connor could shove that article up his ass.
And then I went to that game, and I was like, this is the greatest team I've ever seen in my life. I'm a Jet fan. This is going to be the greatest run ever. Yeah.
No, because if they take Aquanu, I'm not complaining.
Joe Douglas is the king of keeping shit close to the vest.
A 2, a 4, and a 6 for Darnold?
Did the Jets really ruin Sam Darnold, or did Sam Darnold just suck all along and we were just trying to talk ourselves into it?
And Hamilton is a player who can potentially make a very big impact.
And suddenly here we are today, you can't get rid of him.
Right, it's like a plague.
Joe Douglas was hired because he's not those general managers.
Okay, Luscious.
Somebody is going to fall just like Elijah Moore did, just like Michael Carter did.
You know, what would, if you had one sentence to say to Joe Douglas, what would you say? So you would say, you had me at hello, and then give him a big old wet one right on the smack.
Man, oh man, let's see who we got in the chat. And they were here early. Nathan and Anthony are already asking questions. Joking around. Do we get Matt Bohm is here? What's up? Owen is here. What's up? Wat2K, who's not only here in the chat, but he's right here backstage. And we'll be getting to him in a second. Dark Soldier, what's up, my brother? J. Cole in the house, the young 19-year-old buck. Have you turned 20 yet, my friend? Jets Mess is saying, hey, snacks. And I got some borscht coming later. For those of you who don't know what borscht is, I'll explain later when it comes. And Jets82 says, what's up? What's up, my friend? Eric Craig from Texas. What's going on, my friend? 8 days away. It's looking good. It's looking good. Nathan again and Bismo Charismo from Australia. Things are heating up, my friend. We are getting close to the draft. Owen is here, my buddy Owen. Some guy is here too. Let's go Jets. That's right. Some guy. Let's go Jets is right. But without further ado, Jacob Finnegan, and Ephraim. You see, you guys aren't letting me get on with the show because I got to say all your names because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. All right, so here we go. Let's get to the music. I forgot who is it? Rick Rude that used to say, "Hit the music." Well, here we go. We're hitting the music to introduce my co-host, the man with the plan. It's not a hater. It brings a lot of data. I just thought of that one. Please welcome. You love him. You know you do. Keeps you sane. Wat2K89, a.k.a. Adam. What's up, my brother?
Cut the music. What I'd like to have right now is for all you fat, out of shape, jet-loving jackasses, keep your mouth shut. Well, I'll keep my shirt on. We're not going to go there tonight. Rest in peace, Rick Rude, one of the greatest wrestling villains of all time. So.
That's right. That's right. It's amazing how many of them have left us too soon.
Oh, way too soon.
You recommended this music for our next. You recommended this music for our next guest, so let's get it going.
Let's do it.
He's cool. The hottest new YouTube content provider on the internet. There, I said it. Is it his good looks? Is it skill? I don't know. But he's got an invitation on this show in time. Please welcome the Buffalo Jets fan.
When I think Buffalo, this is my jam. I think of this.
I think it's the tattoos, man. That's what it is. It's a tat. And these shades are I'm preparing for the Jets' bright future when we trade for DEEBO Samuel. That's what's going on here.
Oh, I love it.
I like that idea. So when you go into the tattoo parlor, they be jamming. That's the jam that they're playing right there to keep everybody all calm, keep you in a good, healthy frame of mind before the needle goes in your arm. Is that what they do?
A little bit of funky elevator music, yeah. Either that or Rage Against the Machine. You can't go wrong either way.
I love it. Mark Reese,
Yeah.
what's up, brother?
Yeah.
I think I just
Mark.
saw Mark before, not too long ago, on Green Bean's Patreon on his Zoom show. We got to do a draft with Zoom, just 8 of us. It was very private and exclusive. Made us all feel very special with the assignment. What's up, my brother? Anyway, we got a lot to talk about, guys. There's a lot going on again. Things have heated up a little bit. The San Francisco 49ers, well, they didn't release this, but the press that covers them in the NFL has announced that it is official. It is not just a rumor. It appears that we can confidently say that DEEBO Samuel has officially asked to be traded. Now, normally I don't go too crazy about that. I say too much hoopla. Don't get too excited. Don't look into it too much. But because he plays in the almost identical system, played for our offensive coordinator and our head coach in the past, knows the system, is young, probably potentially just getting into his prime. We don't even know the numbers he can put up. I would have to say, as much as I love draft capital and as much as it pains me to give away assets, there's no way that DEEBO Samuel would be suiting up for the Jets this year and me not being excited about that. What do you guys think? We'll start with Adam.
Of all the trade targets and all these wide receivers, these guys who have held out, these guys who have been moved, as we've seen the wide receiver market get completely turned around, been completely reset, there may be no smoother or a perfect fit for where the Jets are and what the Jets do than DEEBO Samuel. We know the reasons, between his age, his history, his abilities, his talent, his production. There is no more perfect fit than we could have than to get DEEBO Samuel. And we could talk all night about, well, what should we trade to get him? Like, what's a good pick? How does it affect the draft? And we're going to get into all of that tonight. But I guess the one thing that's a little bit strange is I feel like these things, they either come out of nowhere or they happen within, it seems like 24 hours. It's very, very quick. These are not long, drawn out processes. So, hey, we're considering, by the way, chat, we may stay until 3 a.m. today because, you never know when the DEEBO news is going to break. It could happen mid-show. You never know.
Oh, man. I think my first reaction to this, like, I know people are dropping in comments and they have their GM hats on already and they're being practical and there will be a time for that in this stream. But I think as a fan, like, I'm not a big jersey guy. I don't buy a lot of jerseys, but if we pull this off, I'm getting the DEEBO jersey. And how about the excitement? How about bringing some swagger to the Jets? He's worth the price of admission. He's worth turning on the TV. So before we even get into all the logistics, like, we need to give ourselves permission to be excited about adding elite players. It's okay to do that. I know we're not used to it as Jets fans, but it's okay to be good. It's okay to have fun. It's okay to win games. And DEEBO Samuel, if you look at his he was just about as productive as our entire skill group combined last year. He had 3 times the amount of receiving yards as our leading receiver. He would have been second on the team in rush yards. He would have led us in receiving touchdowns and rushing touchdowns, and he would have stolen your girl. So I've never seen a fan base more dead set on talking themselves out of adding a certified top 5 playmaker in the NFL in his prime. I don't get it. I'd be pumped if we got DEEBO. I'd be really pumped. And our wide receiver room, talk about Elijah Moore as your 2, Corey Davis as your 3, Denzel Mims as a wild card. I think it'd be a home run. We've done the frugal things. We've built for the draft. We've got rid of our dead money. We've saved. We've scrimped. Right? We've been responsible. Let's go on a vacation. Come on. Let's pack up the bags and go to Aruba. We've earned it.
Okay, I want to address Stacy's comment right away, right off the bat.
Yep.
So in 2019, let's look at this. 2019, he played 15 games, 15 out of 16. Ooh, he missed one game. 2020, he had some hamstring issues. He played 7 games. He missed basically the second half of the season. This year, he played all 16 games. He played 16 out of, if you want to say 17. So what are we talking about? DEEBO Samuel is not injury prone. So let's just debunk that myth right away.
Okay, what about the prima donna comment? I think it was, who was it? I forget if it was it Mess? Yeah, Mess is saying he's not a JD guy, he's a prima donna, he's very, all he cares about money. Now I'm gonna put words in his mouth. He's greedy, he's selfish. If you had a bowl of porridge, he would try to take the whole thing for himself and not share any of it. What do you have to say to that? Grabs the biggest slice of the pot on the pizza pie before anybody else gets the, his second slice before anybody even got their first slice.
For me, if you don't have a little bit of ego, if you don't have some self-confidence, then you're not going to make it in the NFL or in pro sports in general. So to me, I mean, I haven't listened to a ton of his interviews in terms of what kind of human being he really is. I'm not sure if he's one of these guys who's all about the brand or if he's all about the team or what it is. But at the end of the day, it's like, who is, if not him, then who? Who is the guy to acquire? Because at the end of the day, how many more years can we wait on acquiring elite level talent? I'm not talking about a good player or even a very good player. We need freaking difference makers at major positions. We don't have guys who opposing players are going to lose sleep over the night before. We don't have players. We don't have players where the opposing coach is drinking extra coffee because he's got to stay up another 6 hours to figure out, how am I going to stop this guy? What are we going to do about him? If we don't take care of him, we're done. The Jets are going to beat us. DEEBO Samuel, as we saw, especially last year when he was an all-pro player and a Pro Bowl player, and but for the most part, I'm going to go ahead and say it, carried the San Francisco 49ers offense to the NFC Championship game. He is a difference maker. He is a weapon. He is a problem. We'll get into all of that, but you know what? If he has an ego, if he's a prima donna, it sure as hell didn't get in the way of their performance in the playoffs this past season.
Yeah, too. I don't know if he's a bad dude off the field, but I know he's a bad man on it. I'll tell you that. Your audio's out, Jeremy.
Jeremy.
What's interesting to me is a lot of people are saying in the chat, like, oh, everyone said this and now you don't want him, or everybody wants him and you're all wrong, and everybody wanted this guy. Understand, every free agent every player that became available via trade or free agent had tons of fans who wanted them and tons of fans who didn't. So any name that we're going to say is always going to get some negative and some positive. There are going to be people who are not as big on DEEBO, and there are going to be people very big on DEEBO. If it would be, if it was anyone, if it was Cooper, there were people that were up on Cooper and there were people down on Cooper. So guys in the chat, understand, it was never like a consensus. Everyone was on one side on any player. It's always divided. That's what makes these talk shows interesting, right? Because we're not all just a bunch of people all agreeing and holding up a beer going, yeah, Shurzy, and agreeing on every single thing. That's the whole debate. That's what makes this all interesting. So there was a lot of negative that went by. I was flashing it. Buffalo Jet fan, what's your reaction to the negative comments about him? That he's not just the greediness, but some people are saying they're naming wide receivers that are better than him.
Well, I'll put my more practical hat on now, aside from the excitement. Now, I'm not going to act like it's a crazy take to want to go with a young guy and save some money. So if we could, like, if DEEBO Samuel was a prospect, he's coming out in the draft, and if you take him, he's going to be DEEBO. Would I move a whole bunch of draft capital to go up and get him? Yeah, no question. If he was a free agent, would I sign him to a $25 million deal? Yeah, no question. But I do get the gut punch of giving up the significant draft capital and then the big money on top of it. So I'm not going to act like that's a crazy take, but we have to ask ourselves, I'm assuming the people I think it's also weird that he's getting the most negative pushback compared to like DK and AJ Brown. When I think he's the best player out of all of the wide receiver rumors that have happened to the Jets. He's the most productive player. So that's confusing to me. But we need to ask ourselves, if you're thinking wide receiver at 10, there's 3 things that need to go right for that to work out. Number 1, your guy has to be available, and the Atlanta Falcons need a wide receiver. So if he's available at 10, number 2, he has to be healthy, which is a big question mark with Jamison Williams or Drake London, 2 of the top 3 wide receiver prospects. And then number 3, he has to actually pan out and be the prospect you think he's going to be. So we have to remove our ego from this a little bit. I mean, yeah, I'm 85 to 90% sure that Jamison Williams has elite talent. I don't know how sure I am about his ACL. I don't know how sure I am that Atlanta isn't going to take him, but I'm 100% sure that DEEBO Samuel is a top 5 playmaker in this league and would change the life of young quarterback Zach Wilson and atone for the sins of not supporting Zach last year and Sam Darnold the past 3 years.
And if ever there was a player that they would sign to a long-term contract, oh my goodness. I mean, this guy's 25 years old. This is a guy you lock up for 4 years, 5 years. You give him guaranteed money, heavy guaranteed money. This is a player that you invest in and becomes a cornerstone of your franchise. This is a guy who will sell jerseys. This is a guy who will bring Jets fans into MetLife Stadium, as painful as the commute can be sometimes. This is a guy people are going to want to watch. This is and I know the ultimate, we're all about winning games, but I am also wanting to see this team become relevant and become respected and to be admired. DEEBO Samuel is a player who can make that difference because people around the world know who DEEBO Samuel is now after this playoff run. They know he's a weapon, and they know he can transform a team. Because how many great players did he really have with San Francisco? How many playmakers were there outside of George Kittle? I mean, was Brandon Ayuk that great? I mean, he's okay, but Samuel was like the number 1 and 2 wide receiver. He was like the number 1 wide receiver and running back. Think about it. This changes our draft plan. If we get him, our whole draft plan has been turned upside down. And you know what? As far as drafting our own difference makers, Gitmo Bob, I'm with you. I agree with you. I don't have the confidence in any of these wide receivers becoming Jamar Chase. I really don't. I think some of them can be very good, but I know, like Buffalo said, I know what I'm getting with DEEBO Samuel. And you know what? I'm tired of lottery tickets. If there's one spot where I don't have to play the lottery ticket, I'm getting the sure bet. You know what? One time, I'm ready to do it. It worked with Brandon Marshall for 1 year. This one could work for 5 years, 6 years. This could work for a long time. So is it a risk in terms of the draft capital? Yes. The contract, it would be big, but you know what you're getting with the player. And to me, the security could be worth the price.
Okay, so with that I hear that. But Gitmo Bob makes a really good point. I think the most important point that I've read so far, in my opinion. Look, I said it. I love DEEBO, and I love that he comes in ready to play and make a difference. And there's no way I complain about him being on our team. But at the same time, and I think this comes, tell me if I'm wrong, Gitmo, from a place of being around for quite a while. And I feel like I'm not, I haven't been around as long as Gitmo, but I've been around long enough as well that when I look at championship teams, dynasties, great teams historically, they find their own stars. They find their own impact players. I'm not saying that in today's NFL, it's not common to pick up an impact player, but we're not at that. We need the straw that stirs the drink phase of our rebuild. We're not that one player away, right? We were a 4-13 team with a lot of draft capital. I think what Gitmo Bob is saying, isn't this the part of the rebuild where we do it by drafting and developing our own DEEBO Samuel?
I mean, well, just some food for thought in the chat. Answer this real quick before I answer that question. Do you think the Miami Dolphins, Buffalo Bills, and New England Patriots are hoping we take a wide receiver at 10 or trade for DEEBO Samuel? Let's think about that. I think I know the answer to that question. And like I said, this is why I think Jets fans conversations are the best, because we're not all here, like Jeremy said, just drinking the Kool-Aid and saying sign every player and don't care about money and don't care about picks. We're educated fans, and that's a good point. But I think that there's a balance. I think that we've moved off of bad contracts. And if our worst contract is a 26-year-old top 5 skill position player in the NFL who's relatively durable, so be it. So be it if that's the worst thing we've done. And I think obviously we're not going to be like the Rams and say F them picks because we're not in ring chasing mode. But I think we can afford to make this one splurge. And I think other teams, like Jeremy said, who build through the draft, they also, even like the Patriots, whether it's bringing in a Darrell Revis or adding a Richard Seymour, those teams who build through the draft often will add an elite player or two through free agency or a trade. And we have unprecedented draft capital. We could still trade for DEEBO Samuel and maybe swing a Tyreek Hill package where we go defense at 4 and 10. I mean, imagine getting the Tyreek package for DEEBO. You go edge at 4, KT at 4. Sauce probably not there at 10, but then maybe you trade back. You get and recoup some of those picks. You trade back to the teens or to 20. Then you're talking Linderbaum, Nakobe Dean. We can still get a ton of difference makers and add DEEBO Samuel. I think. I still think it's worth it. It's a good point, though, Gitmo. I hear what you're saying, though.
DEEBO, welcome to the chat. We appreciate you taking your time. And yeah.
Look, you said an interesting thing, right? I think that our opponents in the division, if you trade and all of a sudden Jets get DEEBO, the fans for sure, the reaction is going to be, oh boy, like much more powerful than anyone you draft. Right, because anybody you draft hasn't proven themselves yet. People don't pay attention. Oh yeah, it looks like they got a good draft, but you get a guy like DEEBO that's going to turn some heads, right? But you draft a guy like Jameson Williams instead. I'm just saying, and then let's say you get a Breece Hall and a Tyler Lindenbaum, or a Breece Hall and a Jalen Petrie in the second round, or some combination like that, and then in the long run you hit. So, yes, getting DEEBO is at the moment the scarier thing for our opponents, but keeping those draft picks might be the more dangerous thing for our opponents, because if we hit and Jameson Williams is just as good as DEEBO and he's an elite receiver and becomes an elite receiver over the next 2 years, then our division has to say, oh my God, now they have this animal wide receiver who's just unstoppable. And guess what? They get him for $2 million, $3 million a year, whatever it is. They get him on a rookie deal. So I agree. The impact, the initial impact would be bigger if we got DEEBO as far as putting fear or concern into our opponents. But I don't know if it's the more dangerous move. Like, what's really dangerous to them is if we hit on 4 picks.
That's 4 ifs. That's
yeah.
We're talking 4 ifs over over what I believe to be a surefire bet. So. I mean, how many more? 4 ifs. Is that something we're really willing to do here? I don't know. I think it's very risky to wager on that. And again, if I believe that one of these wide receivers had the upside of DEEBO Samuel or could be better than DEEBO Samuel, I'd be like, let's take our chance with drafting that wide receiver. But Buffalo, you're exactly right. I firmly believe Atlanta's taking a wide receiver before we are. We may not be able to get our pick of wide receiver. I mean, and I just can't imagine that any of those wide receivers will be as good as DEEBO Samuel. And hey, if we're wrong, we're wrong. That's that's the fun of this, trying to project. And at the end of the day, we're all here for the same thing. We want to see the Jets be great. We just have different ideas on how to get there. And I believe that, you can draft Samuel, trade, potentially maybe 2 seconds for him. That's the beginning of a package. But then, yeah, I absolutely agree. You could trade down from 10 if you don't have a player you want, go lower into the first round, and then you could take the best center, you could take the best linebacker, you could take the best safety. Now you're starting to build a team. And that's what has me excited, when you're starting to get the best player at certain positions that is available to you. That's what would get me excited going into the season.
I just want to welcome some more people into the conversation and into the chat. Thanks for being here, Jake. Really appreciate you coming. Talking Jets with Tego. It's good to see you. Stanley Spector, our good friend. It's great to see you. Thomas Cahill, you've been here since the beginning. Thanks for stopping in again. Matthew Smith has joined. Rob V, we didn't get to say hello to you before. Appreciate all you guys in the chat. Appreciate you for not only watching the show but participating. Stacy Martin, thank you for participating. Appreciate everybody. I'm trying to get to as many chats as I can. So if I leave you out, don't worry, I'll get you next time.
Matthew
Love
Smith,
it. We're on fire here. This is awesome.
fantastic.
Mm.
Yeah, you guys came out tonight.
Yeah, they're out in force tonight. I like it. I love it. So look, now we get to the question of, we see that there are a lot of people that are pro DEEBO and there are people that are anti DEEBO. But let's talk about, because I'm sure even people that have their reservations about them, everybody would pay some price for him, right? Like if DEEBO said, "Hey, I'll come for $1 million a year," and San Francisco said, "We want this guy out of town. You can give us pick 111." Everyone's going to say, "Yeah, let's do it." So everybody has a price, right? Everybody has a point where they would want DEEBO. Some people would pay a lot. Some people wouldn't pay as much. So even the people that don't want him at all wouldn't turn him down if the capital was low enough. So what I'm really asking, and what the title of the show, so I don't want people to feel cheated, was I want to hear what the chat and what everybody thinks, we'll talk about it too, is willing to give up for DEEBO, right? So just because two people really like him and want him doesn't mean that we would give up the same amount for him. So, and when I ask what would you give up for DEEBO, I want you to keep money and contract in mind, because you can't just ignore big contracts.
Mm-hmm.
There's a limit to how much we could spend on players. There's a cost. There's an opportunity cost there. That means the money could be somewhere else. So let's all just start sharing, what would you trade for DEEBO Samuel? And Jim Page, welcome to the chat. If we pick up DEEBO, then we can focus on the D. That's true. It's true. If we picked up DEEBO Samuel, the one thing we could say is it feels like our offense is pretty much set, except for depth. We're pretty set.
Yep.
You know, as long as Zach Wilson takes the next step forward, I mean, that's nothing. We can't control that. Zach Wilson is going to be what Zach Wilson is going to be. All we can control is what we put around him. But anyway, Buffalo, why don't you tell us, what would you honestly give? You're a GM. What would you offer San Francisco for DEEBO?
So I think the main two things here, and I'm seeing it in the chat, I think the main two debates are going to be either the Tyreek package, which is like both seconds and a third, or pick 10. Most drafts, I think I'd rather hold on to pick 10, but in this particular draft, which I think is not high on sure blue chippers, but is very deep, I think I'd rather swing pick 10 and then keep those 2 seconds. And like, when I know the mock draft simulators aren't a perfect science, but some of the names that are still there at 69, I think you could get 3 defensive starters at 35, 38, and 69, and then add your edge at 4. So I think I would do both. But I think my preference would be to keep the 3 picks and swing pick 10. What do you think, Y2K?
You would want, just say it again. What is it that you would want to do?
I'd just rather do straight up pick 10 instead
Pick 10?
of the multiple picks.
I think it makes sense. So I'm gonna give like some numbers here. I wanted to compare what we offered Tyreek Hill, the Tyreek Hill trade, what that would look like, and then maybe compare what we could make a offer for DEEBO. So the trade that we had made for Tyreek Hill, the Kansas City had agreed to, was we were trading 35, 38, and 69 for Tyreek Hill and the 103 pick. When you compare the draft value of just the draft picks alone, that's about the equivalent of the 11th or 12th overall pick in the draft. Okay, so basically Tyreek Hill was worth the 11th or 12th pick when you go by that draft chart, if that makes sense. So to me, trading the 10, I could get behind that. But I could also see us doing something like 35, 38, and maybe a 5th round pick, something like that. And then you have that number 10 overall pick where you can trade down and acquire more picks. Like, for instance, you could trade the 10th for the 15 and the 51 from Philadelphia, if that's something they're interested in. Or with Green Bay, you could trade 10 for 22 and 28. Maybe Green Bay has a receiver they really want, and they want to come up and get that top receiver. So there's a lot of different ways that you could go about it. But I got to tell you, I'm pretty interested. I'm interested in doing the 2 second-round picks if and only if you could trade down from 10 and acquire more picks to replace the ones that you traded. That's what I would say.
And I'm sure Joe Douglas has made some calls to see where the board's at with that. Like he's got a sense of whether or not he feels confident if he could recoup some of that mid-round value by moving back.
Oh, we know he always does his due diligence. I have no worries about that.
Yeah, I don't disagree with I'd rather give up 10 than 35, 38, and 69. I just think, and here's why. If we were to make this trade and we were to get DEEBO Samuel, my number 10 was a wide receiver anyway. My number 10 was going to be a Jameson Williams in my mind, or Garrett Wilson, Drake London anyway. Right? So once we get that DEEBO in, we still have our 4 to get the edge. And then we still get everything we wanted in the second round and the third round. We still get those 2 picks. We could still grab Petrie or, like I was saying before, Breece Hall or whoever it is, Christian Harris, Nakobe Dean if he was to slip, and he could, Tyler Lindenbaum, whatever. But the point is we would have those 3 picks in every mock draft we do. There's some good players there. I think I'd rather have 3 good players than keep that 10 to do what with. Now, there was a good point made. If you do keep the 10, you definitely trade it down. You don't need the top wide receiver anymore. You got to get some of that draft capital back. Now, you might be able to trade that 10 and get 2 or 3 of those picks back anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not Ricky Williams.
Right? Yeah.
This is not the Ricky Williams draft here. You know what I mean? We're not doing that here.
Yeah. Oh, I love it when someone says I'm right. But I went off of I
wonder how that chat got highlighted. Okay.
I went off John Nolte, though. But John Nolte was saying something whatnot. What he was saying is, the play was DK and not DEEBO. Does the thought change? I think there are people that feel differently about different players. Yeah. That's what we're experiencing here. We have a lot of people that would have, that were really high on getting Cooper that aren't high on getting DEEBO, or really high on getting A. Brown. So I think that's part of what the discussion is that not everybody is agreed on how good DEEBO is. There's different opinions of how good he is. I think everyone thinks he's good. It's just a matter of how good is he. Max offer are 2 seconds and a 4th, 5-year deal for $125 million, $70 million guaranteed. But the question is, would DEEBO take that deal?
He'd be the 4th highest paid receiver per year in the league if he was making 25 a year, behind Hill, Adams, and Hopkins.
That seems fair.
It's a great contract. It's a great contract. And if he's asking for more than that, then maybe some of the people in the chat are right. Maybe he's not our guy.
Yeah, 25 to me is like, woof. Yeah, as much as I want him, you still have a cap. The cap is going up steadily, though. You are going to have more room to keep players, and there's still more players that we can cut and save some money. We could go through Van Roten being the chief one in my mind. So there is room that we could still make. Plus, you could always restructure a contract or two. But if he was making $20 million, he'd be making the same as Mike Williams, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Keenan Allen, and to me, that seems more than reasonable. I'd love to give him 5 years, $20 million a year if that's something he would go for.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, Jeremy. No, go ahead.
I was just going to joke around. I was about to say Randy Moss was very overrated. Talking Jets with Diego. Okay, I think today Randy Moss would probably be a WR2. Okay, I'm not just kidding. Randy Moss went for a 7th. Yeah, I look. We can make comparisons like that, but also we weren't paying wide receivers $30 million a year either. So I think Jacksonville really screwed with this wide receiver market with their deal. I think that there's just a premium on wide receivers now, and it changed everything. So times are different than when Randy Moss went, but I get the sentiment. I understand what you're saying. He went for a 7th, and he was one of the greatest wide receivers of all time. So,
hey, Doug Jolly went for a 1st. Does that make him the greatest tight end of all time?
No.
Methinks not. I understand what you're saying, but you can find out plenty of examples one way or another. So.
Can we mention that a couple people have brought it up, and this has been circulating too, that DEEBO apparently has one of his criteria is that he doesn't want to be used as a running back as much, and people are saying, they don't want him. I think Jake mentioned it. He doesn't want to do the running back stuff. And listen, that's right from his agent. No, when you're coming up on a contract, like if any other upper echelon wide receivers, offensive coordinator said, hey, we're going to start handing you the ball on 3rd and 2, the agent is going to bring that up, and that's going to be a conversation with any top wide receiver. So I'm not going to hold Deebo's skill set against him. And if he wants to, cut your carries in half, like not everything has to be black and white, I'm willing to hear that, because at the end of the day, his body is his moneymaker, and he's been asked to play a role that no other player that I can remember in modern NFL history has been asked to play. And he's got to make some business decisions. So I can't kill him for that.
So GVH says, does our compensation deal get impacted if what they are saying about DEEBO is not wanting to stay in San Francisco, set up our leverage? I think it depends. I think it could help our leverage, but it depends on how many teams are calling and what other teams are offering. I think the number one thing that helps our leverage is if nobody else wants to give up any of the type of capital we could give up. I mean, if the reality is 38 and 69 are the best that they would get because the other teams simply don't have the capital or the cash. I mean, because they're saying multiple teams are calling, but that doesn't mean multiple teams are able to sign DEEBO. And I think Adam, if I'm correct, is going to get into the details of that a little bit about.
We'll talk about it. Absolutely.
About potential candidates for him. But remember, now JD is kind of one of a kind. But JD had to deal with the situation where everybody knew Jamal Adams wanted out. We were gun to our head, how to get rid of him, and look what he got. So I wouldn't automatically assume because DEEBO's demanding a trade that San Francisco's not going to get a very nice bounty. I mean, look what Miami gave up for Tyreek Hill. I mean, as long as there's other bidders, the leverage for San Francisco is there.
Mm-hmm. Just takes two.
Yep, no doubt about it. And, I looked at a couple of stats on him, just what his performances looked like, not just what he did in terms of raw numbers, but what he meant to the San Francisco offense. So this past year, he had 77 catches on 121 targets. Now, those 121 targets, this is interesting to me. Those targets accounted for almost 25% of all of San Francisco's passing targets. So 1 out of every 4 passes that a 49ers quarterback threw was in the direction of DEEBO Samuel. He is their engine. There's no way around it. 18.2 yards per reception. That's a league high. Nobody did better than that. 6 touchdowns, 1,405 yards. Even yards per carry when he was rushing, he averaged 6.2 yards per carry. And he had 59 rushes last year. So he averages about 3.5 yards per carry. So it's not like they're doing it relentlessly, but he is getting a couple of runs every game. So 59 rushes. Last year, there was only one running back who had that many carries or more that averaged 6.2 yards per carry, and that was Rashad Penny. So he runs better than most running backs, maybe in limited doses, but he is effective when he touches the ball. And he had 8 more touchdowns running the ball. He had more rushing touchdowns than he had receiving touchdowns. Mm-hmm. So, and also the other thing that's pretty interesting to me is last year, he became the 3rd player in NFL history to have in one season 1,000 receiving yards, 5 touchdown catches, and 5 touchdown runs in one season. The other 2 guys named Marshall Faulk and Roger Craig. Not the worst company to be in. So you're getting a guy who's been in the league 3 years. 3 years. He's still basically a kid. He's a young veteran who is not even in his prime yet. He's entering his prime right now. So that is another reason why it's so intriguing. We know Joe Douglas loves to go after guys who are coming off that first contract, and this is why it makes sense. So, yeah, we could break down the salary all day long, but if you look at the player, anybody who's not sure that, he's not this player, he's not that player, you know why he's not Devontae Adams or whoever yet? Because he hasn't been around long enough to become that player. He's on his way up.
What do you feel about what Dom C is saying? Because that concerns me. What Dom C is saying is really a powerful point.
That's the thing, yeah. How much would he be running? I think that's something he might. Now, I do wonder how much.
Just for those who can't read it, who are just listening, I just want to read it. He's saying DEEBO wanting out of San Francisco because of the way he's utilized in the offense. is concerning since we run the same offense. So sorry, go ahead, Adam. I just wanted to make
It's
sure
totally fine. I guess I compare to the Tyreek Hill situation because Kansas City gave Tyreek the choice of where he wanted to go. Is San Francisco going to do that with DEEBO? I think some of us are assuming. It's like, well, why would DEEBO pick us? We're the Jets. Why would DEEBO pick? Is it DEEBO's choice to make? Tyreek Hill was with Kansas City a lot longer than DEEBO has been with San Francisco. So how much say does he really have in this process? Now, if he doesn't want to be a running back when it comes time to negotiate the contract, I'm sure he and his agent are going to have something to say about that. But if and besides, we already have a wide receiver who does quite a bit of that. His name is Braxton Berrios. So if they want to limit his running role, that's fine. But at the end of the day, even last season, he was only running the ball about 3 times a game anyway. It's not like they were doing it, on every drive. This wasn't the Wildcat offense or something. So it doesn't worry me too much. It really doesn't.
Yeah, me neither. And if they, like if you said, if they want to reduce the carries from 3.5 a game to 2 a game, okay. Also, I think that although the 49ers had higher top tier offensive weapons in Kittle and DEEBO, if we added DEEBO, we would have a much deeper arsenal than San Francisco had last year. You just mentioned Braxton, Elijah, who you can give the ball on gadget plays. You got 2 legit tight ends. You have Corey Davis. So, and I think what Adam pointed out that was really impressive when I looked at the numbers, it's not just the volume, it's the efficiency. 6 yards per carry, 18 yards per catch. So you're talking about a guy who stretches the defense vertically. 18 yards per catch, tops in the NFL. Now, you can run him on jet sweeps and tosses. He stretches the defense horizontally. He makes the defense account for every single blade of grass. And I want to throw this to you, Jeremy. I have a question for you. So, DEEBO Samuel, 1,700 scrimmage yards last year and 14 total touchdowns. If you were to put the over under on the top 2 wide receivers drafted in this draft class, their rookie production combined, I might be betting the under on what DEEBO Samuel did last year. From Jamison Williams and Garrett Wilson combined next year, are they going to produce how DEEBO just did last year? I don't know.
It would be foolish to be confident they would because they haven't proved anything in the NFL. And as excited as we get about prospects, I mean, first of all, rookies don't always produce, even if they're going to be great players. And then they're not always becoming great players. It just, sometimes we're wrong and it doesn't work out. It just doesn't happen. So, no, I mean, that kind of production on the Jets would be absolutely insane. I don't know that he would get it on the Jets because, I mean, it depends on Zach and his development in year 2. It depends on the team overall, gaining, the mastery of the scheme that San Francisco has had a lot more experience playing. So I don't know. I mean, it could do better. It could do worse. I don't know if Elijah Moore is going to eat and Corey Davis are going to eat too much of that pie. I don't know. But what I do know is his talent level. It doesn't matter, right? I mean, because if we don't ask him to get that many touchdowns or yardage because we're spreading the ball around and we're running the ball a lot, fine. I mean, as long as he's the same talent, if he has that talent. Now, the one thing I will say, I don't want to ignore her I don't know her because Stacy could be either. But Stacy did say in the chat before I saw it, I don't know if it's still coming up, but I saw it go by, that he does have a pretty high drop percentage rate. So he's not a perfect receiver. And Zach does need receivers who are good at actually not dropping the ball. We learned that last year. So I don't, but I for one definitely will not sit here and say, oh, Jamison Williams will be just as good or even close to DEEBO Samuel year 1. I'm saying he has the potential to be that kind of player. And that's even just potential. That doesn't even mean he will.
Yeah, it looks like Adam's looking up the drop rate.
Just find his stats about drops. See if I can find this.
And yeah, you're right, Jeremy. He's not what you think of when you think prototypical number 1 wide receiver. He's kind of a unicorn, and he gets his production differently, and that's fair. What's talking with Jets? What Tigo's saying here?
Yeah, he did have 10 drops last year. He had about an 8% drop percentage. So yes, the drop percentage is higher than we would want. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just something to think about. Now, look, never have that many drops again, right? I mean, it could have been a fluke thing. Corey Davis had an off year with drops last year. It doesn't
He
mean
had the
that's
same drop percentage.
right.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that's who he is though forever. It doesn't mean Corey Davis is going to come in and drop that many passes. It just doesn't. Players have off years, or they just have off games where they drop a couple of passes. They go into a little bad run, and it makes their season look bad. We see that in every sport in the world. So, I mean, his drop percentage is concerning if it was to continue, but at the same time, me and my brother did a lot of watch parties on Sunday, and we did a lot of the 49ers because I live out here in the West Coast, obviously. And let me tell you something. When DEEBO Samuel was in that game, the 49ers are a different team. He is an impact player. So no matter what, the only discussion is about cost. It's not that we wouldn't want DEEBO Samuel on the team. It's just about the cost and what he's worth.
Yeah. And just for reference, Garrett Wilson and Drake London both had a drop percentage around 8%. Yeah, I couldn't find Jameson's just yet, but that is a knock on some of the better receivers in this class. They had the dropsies too.
Maybe 8% is average at this point.
Yeah.
Maybe we should be satisfied with 8% drops at this point. Maybe that's what the league is at this now. Who knows?
Jake comes in and says, unpopular opinion, but I take A.J. Brown, who's throwing a shit fit right now over DEEBO if he just wants to be a wide receiver and not do the RB stuff. One second. My wife yelled.
She's saying we want DEEBO.
No, she wants me to come down and get the soup because there's no way she can carry it up the stairs without spilling it all over the place. My wife surprised me because I have this bad cold that's been going on forever, and also it supports the Ukraine. There's this famous Ukrainian restaurant in New York, in Manhattan, on the Lower Side, on like 2nd Avenue, called Velsma. I can't pronounce it, but anyway, my grandparents are from Kiev.
Oh.
So the borscht that they have in this restaurant is the exact kind and style of borscht that my grandmother made. That my father grew up with when I was a little kid. I grew up with. So my wife got me it. So I have to and it supports the, they send all the profits and proceeds of everybody ordering the borscht to the Ukraine to help the people there and provide relief. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Unpopular. So anyway, what do you guys think about what Jake is saying? Because I like A.J. Brown, so I don't think it's an unpopular opinion.
I mean, no, reunite A.J. Brown and Corey Davis with, in my mind, a quarterback who's better than Ryan Tannehill. You got my attention. I just don't think – Brown, there's so many mixed signals. At least we know Samuel does want to lead. Brown, I just don't know if he's really on the market or not. It seems like every couple of days you get sort of like a different vibe, if he wants to go, if he wants to stay. So – I don't know. I just don't feel like he's on the market. And besides, I think Tennessee needs to build around somebody on offense. Derrick Henry's not getting any younger. If I had to put it this way, if I had to bet on one of those two receivers being signed by their own team, A.J. Brown or DEEBO Samuel, I would actually bet on A.J. Brown.
I completely agree. I think his tweets read as I want to be here, and he's trying to get the fans on his side and saying, hey, it's the front office who doesn't want to pony up. But I think that I like A.J. Brown too, but I think he is a little bit of a tier down from some of the other wide receivers that we've been talking about acquiring, mainly DK Metcalf and DEEBO Samuel. A.J. Brown has never had more than 1,100 yards receiving in his career, where DEEBO, we just talked about the 1,700 scrimmage yards. And then DK Metcalf, for a stretch of time in 2020, was the best wide receiver in the league, like the first 10, 12 games of that year. So I don't know if we've seen quite that from A.J. Brown. And I also think that Tennessee, even though I may not agree they're a Super Bowl contender because they're quarterbacked by Ryan Tannehill, they might feel like they are, and they might feel like they wanted to keep their guy. It just wouldn't make sense to me to trade for a 30-year-old Robert Woods off an ACL, pay him $16 million just to dump your 24-year-old stud receiver. That just wouldn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's hard for me to imagine Tennessee even making the playoffs this year. I think the way that the other teams around them have improved, and around this in this conference have improved, I think this is a team that could go from first to out of the playoffs this coming season. Hey, Clutch.
Good to see you, Clutch. Clutch is our very own Kansas City Chief fan. Yeah,
Clutch, we'll be talking about your team in a little bit. Yeah, you're tying into this whole
we're gonna be
conversation. I
you're going to
promise
tie
you.
right into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think John Nolte also points out that DEEBO is a beast in the playoffs. That's important, right? Clutch games. Like, how does he rise to the occasion?
Oh yeah, he's big time.
I'll settle for just getting to those games, let alone winning them. You know, we don't even know what that's like anymore.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, Rob. Yeah, I mean, single hand as far as the offense goes. I mean, certainly no one player like makes a team. You know, quarterback, non-quarterback. But in terms of the offense, without him, they would not have been winning those games. I mean, that team was really built, I think, on their defense, particularly the pass rush. But on offense, if you had to give a reason on offense, it's really DEEBO, in my opinion. So that's why I feel like getting him is just unbelievable. And that's also another reason why I feel if you better get that borscht ready. Oh my gosh. Yeah, if San Francisco actually is going to trade him, I have a pretty strong suspicion they don't want to do it in the NFC. That's kind of a little something to keep in mind as we break down some of these different teams. Yeah. Don't count on him going to, say, Green Bay, for instance, despite their very apparent need at wide receiver, you know.
Audio, Jeremy.
Yeah, I want to thank Jets today for that. Guys, hit the like button. I always forget to do it.
They just finished up.
Jets is more of a veteran than I am at this. He's more experienced at this, and supposedly the like button is really important, I think, because everybody. It's true. I watch other YouTubers. I'm trying to learn, not just Jet content providers, and they're always like, hit the like button, hit the like button. So I think it's important. I think it really helps me. So guys, I love that you're here, and I appreciate it, and I'm flattered by it. Like when we get so many people in here. But what I would really appreciate if you could take that second and make sure you do hit that like button, because I think it could get even more people in here and help us out and help out the channel. Thank you so much, John. I'm glad you were able to make it in and pop in. I know it's late for you, man. He's got to get up early. He's like you, Mr. Buffalo. He is a teacher. You were both fifth grade teachers. I think that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And you know John anyway.
You teach a certain subject or just teach fifth grade in general?
Everything. And my students relentlessly roast me for being a Jets fan.
I can imagine.
I think it's funny and ironic that Charles B does point out that DEEBO was a second round pick, because one of the big debates is we have to take a wide receiver in the first round. We have to take a wide receiver in the first round. And the guy that so many people are doing, jumping through hoops for was a second round pick. So just going through the chats here.
Well, somebody mentioned Baltimore. That's a different team than what I've seen projected anywhere. I haven't seen anybody mention Baltimore as a possible destination.
That would be nasty. He would.
I would say this with Baltimore: they only have $9 million in cap space, which is pretty low compared to some of these other teams. And I think in terms of their draft assets, they're not exactly loaded. They have a little bit, but they don't have as much to offer as some of these other teams do. But in terms of the fit, wow, Lamar Jackson and DEEBO Samuel on the same team, that's dangerous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I honestly think that people are forgetting. I mean, not everyone, but I mean, a lot of people are with me on this. We can't forget about Elijah Moore. He's really special. And he had a run there in the middle of the season. Once he got some experience and he got a feel for the offense, and our quarterbacks actually had more than 1.7 seconds to actually drop back and throw the ball, he was getting really good. And I'm just saying, if we got a DEEBO Samuel or if we strike gold in the draft, it's not like Elijah goes away. This is going to be special. Because I haven't given up on the fact that Elijah Moore could be a very good receiver in this league, a very special receiver. What do you guys think about that? Do you feel strongly about Elijah Moore? And
Yeah, I
while
feel like we've
you
been-
talk about that, I'm going to run down and get my soup.
This is a time we could actually bash Elijah Moore, and Jeremy wouldn't even know. No, no, of course not. We're going to do that. To me, Moore is definitely, he's another one of those guys. We don't know what his ceiling is yet, especially after seeing him play essentially half a season. To me, he's not that much different than Zach Wilson. Both incredibly talented. We've definitely seen glimpses, but there is, I'm confident that he is a starting receiver in the NFL, but on what level of a starting receiver is he? Is he that sort of like inside out? Is he Terry McLaurin? Is he Keenan Allen? I mean, what level is he going to be? So I think this is one of those years where I think we'll really start to figure out who he is. So to me, there's a couple different wild cards that will really help to make this Jets season. To me, Elijah Moore is one of them, and he's probably the X factor I would have the most confidence in. Other guys I would put in that would be obvious ones like Mekhi Becton and whatnot. But to me, Moore is an absolute X factor on this team. So what do you think, Buffalo?
Yeah, I think that Elijah Moore, honestly, I think his floor is a really good number 2. I think, and me and Jeremy had the same conversation where we know we overrate our own players, so Elijah Moore is not going to be as good as we think he's going to be. That's just how it works. We're fans. And I think he'll be probably, I don't think he'll develop into what you prototypically think when you think wide receiver 1, but I think he can have a couple years where he gives you wide receiver 1 production. I think he'll crack 1,000 yards multiple times, probably get a Pro Bowl nod or 2, and be an absolute steal in the second round. And I think what Jeremy was hinting at in terms of adding DEEBO to Elijah Moore, where a lot of times with Jets fans, I've had this conflict where they think that me wanting to add elite talent to our roster is an indictment on the players who are already here. And that's just a really bad mindset to have. At the end of the day, Elijah Moore was a second-round pick who had 500 receiving yards last year and ended the year on IR. Those are just facts. I love him. He's my favorite player on the team. I'm excited for him next year. But if our mindset is we're going to pass on one of the most productive receivers in recent NFL history last year because we think that this kid who finished the year on IR and had 500 yards, okay. But I like the idea of having both of them. I mean, and then your wide receiver room really shapes out. I mean, if Elijah Moore is your 2, Corey Davis is your 3, we can debate on whether or not Corey Davis is a 1 or a 2, but man, he would be an excellent number 3. I think that would instantly give the Jets the deepest and most talented wide receiver room of my lifetime. Braxton Berrios as your 4, as your gadget guy, special teamer. Denzel Mims still as a wild card. I mean, I know a few years back we had 2 guys go for 1,000, Decker and Marshall, but we weren't that deep. It was like Kembrell Tompkins was our number 3 for a stretch there when Quincy got hurt. So, I mean, I like the idea of having DEEBO and Elijah Moore and Corey Davis. I think all 3 of those guys add something different, and they would really complement each other. And I think that would be a great fit.
Buffalo, it's impressive. You went through that whole answer with wide receivers, and we didn't even mention the pending greatness of Denzel Mims. How could we forget that? And actually, I want to respond to one of the chats that I just saw here. I think this Elijah Moore. This is from Phenom. Elijah Moore is a nice wide receiver, but he needs the help of a number 1. Well, how do we know he's not going to be? To me, I almost feel like that's Corey Davis. I have been a pretty big Corey Davis defender over the last couple of months. In fact, I wrote an article that I haven't released yet, but it'll be on Green Bean's website in the coming weeks. It's not a time-sensitive thing. But one of the things that I argue, I compare him to someone like an Eric Decker, because you remember that first year of Eric Decker when he was here before Brandon Marshall came along?
Yes.
Jet fans were not very big on it. It's like, oh my God, we overpaid for this guy. Yeah, he's okay, but oh my gosh, he wasn't worth it. When he had a legitimate wide receiver on the other side of him, and I'm sorry, I know we love Wayne Corbett, but Wayne Corbett needed a Keyshawn Johnson with him. He needed a Lavernius Coles with him. He needed that kind of a wide receiver to make him that much more effective.
It's a great take.
Yeah, and I don't think that Corey Davis is really any different than this. So, I would use him a little bit more in a slot where you can use his size. He wasn't that great against like Denver and New England against those guys. But with his blocking ability and those types of features that he brings to the table, he gets good yards after catch. He runs routes well. I would actually use him in the slot a little bit more often. And that's why I've been so onto getting an outside wide receiver. That's why I haven't been interested in like a Jahan Dotson or like a 5'8", 5'9" wide receiver, even though he does catch. I don't want 4 of the exact same wide receiver. I know I'm kind of taking this into a couple of different directions, but the point is, all these wide receivers, they fit together like a puzzle. So let's look at how they all come together, because you don't want the exact same wide receiver all across the field.
Absolutely. I gotta get you on the show, dude, because that was just 100 emojis all across the board. And I like what you said about you want to add another outside receiver, because I'd rather stick a big guy in the slot than try and have a 5'10" guy win outside. And you're right about Eric Decker. If you're going to have the opposing team's defensive coordinator scheme to take away Corey Davis, yeah, he's not going to win. And you know what? We didn't pay him to do that. If you look at how much he's making compared to other he's not being paid like a wide receiver one. $13 million price tag, get much less than what Christian Kirk got.
Less than Nelson Aguilar.
Right around what DJ Chark is getting. He's being paid like a really good wide receiver number 2, and that's what he is.
I like the scenario of thinking about the future too, like giving up. Zach gets great players right away, and then as they leave, you have new young great players developing.
This is a great comment too by Mark, because like, let's say in an ideal world, Denzel Mims would regain his form this year. And then if we got DEEBO the following year, you can cut Corey Davis and your starting trio is Mims, DEEBO, and Elijah. And the only one getting paid is DEEBO.
Yeah. And the dead cap hit for Corey Davis would be like 600, 2/3 of $1 million. It's like, nothing.
Yeah. No, Joe Douglas gives himself a clean out every contract.
Yep, and that's when you start, reaping those comp draft picks that we. What did we have more recently? A playoff berth or a comp pick? What was the last time we had either of those? We know when we had the last time we were in the playoffs. We know when that was, but I think the last time we had a comp pick was right around the same period of time.
I know the last time we had a DUI. It hasn't been too long since that.
Oh gosh. Did the DEEBO trade go down yet? Well, this is the place where we're going to break the news. Nope. That's why, Phenom, that's why I said we're going to be here till 3 a.m, just waiting and waiting and waiting.
I'm not going to end the show. I'm just waiting for something to happen.
Do you guys know that Krista girl on Twitter who's been tweeting at DEEBO Samuel like every day for the past 2 months?
Wait a minute. Oh no. So this is the one who is stalking Barrios that blocks people relentlessly. Oh, she's up to her old tricks again.
Yeah.
All right. I don't have many things to say about her at this point, but go ahead.
No, I was just bringing it up, man. I love Pickens. Looks like some more wide receiver talk.
Yeah, we're getting requests about call-ins, man. What does it take for people to call in? I mean, do we have to get to a certain point with the channel before we can accept a phone call?
No, I just have to. I think I have to switch computers because I've always used a work computer, but you have to understand, switching computers creates. I just need time because I work, I run home, I got a while to spend with my wife, the dog. We're fostering a dog, right? Then I got the show. Then I got to get ready for bed and go back to work. So I don't have the time that I want because it's not that complicated. Google Voice plays well with the technology I used to go on. I just can't download it on my work computer, so I need to shift everything to my Mac, make sure the Mac works with my extra monitor, so everything, and kind of get used to using a different computer. And then I can get Google Voice. It's a free account with the phone number. I can get it, and we'll test it out, and I think we can get the call-ins.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan. Something to look forward to, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. I wanted to do it already. I wanted to already have it. For right now, I could put the stream in the link. People could come in and they could keep their camera off if they don't want to be seen, and they can ask questions that way. But it's just not as good as the old-fashioned, phone number call in. Yeah, but like so many opinions. Elijah Moore is a nice receiver, but he needs the help of a number one. Okay. So Phenom, I'm welcome to the chat. I'm waiting for you to email me. I put it in the chat again, my email. You were the winner of 4 basketball cards, the centers. I didn't forget, but I can't send it to you if I don't have an address, my friend. So email me, get in touch with me so we can talk and figure out where I'm sending this thing. You can also reach me I'm on Twitter, NFL Chaos with Jeremy at Jeremy Cravette 2. At Jeremy Cravette 2.
What happened to Jeremy Cravette 1?
It's an old account of mine that I can't freaking delete.
Do you think like your old, like if you had AOL Instant Messenger, do you think that's still like floating out there somewhere? I know AIM is done, but it's probably still out there somewhere in the virtual world. It's probably never really going away.
It's probably really popular in some countries, right? There are countries where they're still dialing in on a phone line.
Yeah. I think they just got compact discs, some of those countries, for the first time. There's all kinds of new stuff going on.
Yeah. Buffalo Jet, Rob V agrees 100% with your last take.
You're an agreeable kind of guy, Buffalo. What can I say?
Hey, so here's the thing about Mimsy, right? I'm really glad that he went and worked out with Zach. I'm really glad that he put on 20 pounds of muscle. Like, it's all good. I'm all good with it. He broke. I kind of got heartbroken because I was such a big fan. And I still believe that there's a possibility. But what I want to hear more than the 20 pounds of muscle, although that does impress me, is because it means that he's working hard, because it's not easy to add 20 pounds of muscle. That means you're working really hard. Mm-hmm. But I want to hear that he's working on route running. I want to hear that he's studying the playbook, because I don't care how big and strong you are. In this offense, it's became very obvious. If you don't know the playbook and you're not running the routes correctly, you're not playing. So it doesn't matter.
I hope he's reviewing the many penalties he took last year while he was on the field. I mean, he probably set a record for the ratio of number of plays on the field versus number of penalties taken. Mm-hmm. It seemed like I swear 50% of the time he was on the field, he would get a penalty.
He had a game where he had 3 penalties and no catches.
Even Nathan Shepard was like, dude, you got to stop taking freaking penalties here.
And you're so right, Jeremy. Like with Denzel Mims, this is where we're at with Denzel Mims, right? Recently I moved, and my pothead cousin was like, hey man, I can help you out. And I'm like, awesome. But I had to have a contingency plan to move the couches if he bailed. And if he shows up, awesome. Start hauling some chairs. But I'm not going into that move banking on him to show up. That's where we're at.
Yeah. I saw Friggle D jumped in. Hey, Friggle, good to see you.
Oh, Friggle's here. What's up, Friggle?
Yeah, he's here.
Friggle.
There is.
Friggle is definitely one of the OGs. He goes all the way back to when I just discovered YouTube Jets content providers and first went into the chats. Started chatting with Friggle D. One of the things I liked about him right away was just hearing Green Bean say it like in such a serious voice, like when I wasn't used to him calling out the names, and just like I'm watching first couple of weeks. I'm watching Green Bean, and he's just like in a serious part of the conversation. He's like, "That's right, Friggle D," and I never forget. I just thought it was so funny. I was like, the way he just called out his name in such a serious way. And now I'm used to all the funny YouTube names. And Friggle D doesn't even sound funny to me anymore because I've known him for so long. So it's just Friggle D.
It's Friggle D. Yeah.
It's the guy that everybody thinks likes Boston or is from Massachusetts because it looks like he has Larry Bird in his logo.
Oh, we got an Iowa Jets fan. Yeah. Great guy, but part of maybe Green Bean's least popular mock draft yet. So that's something to put on your resume, Iowa. But it was an entertaining episode the other night, I will say.
But you know what, Adam? So excuse me if I was so in my soup, I didn't know that you had already done it. Have you talked about which teams have a possibility of? Okay, why don't we get into that? Why don't we talk about what teams have the need, the draft capital, and the money? Do you think that to even compete with us?
So there were a couple of teams that I looked at here. And I started off who really needs a wide receiver. So one team, I'm gonna kind of go from the bottom of the order, but what I did is I looked at their current salary cap space. I'm not factoring in the draft classes yet because those can be manipulated. There can be trades, and if you make the trade for DEEBO Samuel, well, your draft class is changing quite dramatically. But I looked at cap space, and I looked at the draft picks they have in the first 3 rounds of this year's draft, and I looked at the draft value of all those picks. So I looked at day 1 and day 2 draft picks to see what assets they really had to trade. Okay, so Atlanta is one team that clearly needs a wide receiver. A lot of people have them mocked to take a Garrett Wilson or a Drake London or a Jamison Williams at number, I believe, 8 overall. They only have $3 million in cap space, and their picks in the first, they have 5 picks in the first 3 rounds. They have 8, 43, 58, 74, and 82. That is an overall draft value of 2,190. So I have 7 teams here, and for me, they are number 7. So we'll start with that.
Okay.
I could go through all of them, but if you'd like to react to each one, of course, feel free.
And I heard all the numbers. I missed what team it was.
That was Atlanta.
Ooh.
Does
not a lot of space? They got a few picks, but they have the need. They have the position need more than they have the draft capital or the financial flexibility.
Does DEEBO want to go to Atlanta? Atlanta, the coach seems pretty smart. I mean, when you're rebuilding from scratch, is that what you want to do? Let's give away any draft capital we have left. Let's put tons of money into a position when we don't even have a quarterback to throw him the ball, and we're missing so many other things.
Did they sign Mariota? Is that where Mariota went?
Yep.
Yeah. So, and here's the thing. Cordell Patterson was just there. If he doesn't really want to be a running back, he might be thinking to himself, oh, no, I'm going to be Cordell part 2, assuming that's where his mindset is. I think if I was him, I'd be worried I'd be a running back more than I'd be a wide receiver. So to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, and he, I'm assuming he's going to have some say, because if San Francisco wants to deal in good faith, they have to, just like Tyreek, you have to send him somewhere to where he's going to want to sign an extension.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's going to be part of the conversation. Now, could I see DEEBO having some fun at a club with Nelly in Atlanta? I could. Does that overcome Marcus Mariota throwing the ball? It does not. So I think there's some other teams that are probably more likely fits.
I agree. Okay. Number 6 on my list, I have the Green Bay Packers. So they only have $8 million in cap space right now, and that's even after shedding the Devontae Adams contract. Like the Falcons, they also have 5 picks in the first 3 rounds. They have numbers 22, 28, 53, 59, and 92. So 2 1s, 2 2s, and a 3. That overall draft value is a little bit less than Atlanta, $2,052. Plus, do we really think the San Francisco 49ers are going to trade their best offensive player to the Green Bay Packers?
It's hard to see them wanting to deal with Green Bay and especially a weapon that's going to be used against them.
They would have to outbid the second next team significantly. That's the last place they want to send him.
Yep. Not counting division teams, I would say Green Bay is pretty much the bottom of that list. I think that's very fair. Probably them, the Dallas Cowboys. I'd say they're pretty much at the bottom of the list. Another team I looked at, now we got some teams that are going to have some cap space. Now, this team has the most cap space of any team that I looked at. $19 million, and it's the New Orleans Saints. Clear need of wide receiver. They only have 4 picks in the first 3 rounds, but they have 16, 19, 49, and 98. That's a total of 2,393 points. So that's the most draft capital of any team in this draft. And they are, let's see if I look overall, 1, 2, 3. They're 4th on this list in terms of draft capital. So, so Jameis Winston would be the quarterback at this point. Now we'll see if he's the long-term answer. But clearly they need to restock in a couple of places, and they now have some cap space to work with after losing Marcus Williams and rearranging a couple of contracts and losing Terran Armstead. So what do you think about the Saints, guys?
Their cap, the way they manipulate and play with the cap, but how much can they do it? How far could they push this playing around and manipulating the cap? Also, what's their quarterback situation? I mean, DEEBO's got to want to go there, right? So he's going to look at the quarterback situation as well. But at the same time, why would he want to come here if he doesn't like the way he's being used in the offense? I mean, unless it's just the running and he thinks that we're not going to use him as a running back, which we might not. I mean, San Francisco used them a lot, and we didn't use Elijah or Berrios that much. It was a couple of trick plays and once in a while, but it wasn't like we were lining them up at running back. And I don't know that we would have to do that with DEEBO. So, but if he doesn't like other parts of the offense either, that's going to be an issue because what doesn't he like? And, but you'd think that he wouldn't want to come to us in that case. I mean,
we'll get to our fit for sure.
Okay.
And we'll figure out, what makes the most sense. But
look at me getting us off topic.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine.
New Orleans is a dark horse team, though. I mean, you think about like him and DEEBO Samuel and Alvin Kamara, like two of the most dynamic playmakers in the sport. I got a hunch that New Orleans is going to try and come away with a quarterback, though, in this draft. And I think that's where their capital is going to go.
What quarterback do you think they would target, considering they're not picking? Do you think they would try to trade up to get a Malik Willis? I mean, I don't know if Pickett is the guy they would want. But, then you have Corral. You have one or two other guys. Sam Howell. I mean, do you think they would go first round for the quarterback?
I think that coaches and GMs are more desperate for quarterbacks than fans are. And I think you can get 2 years of job security with we need to develop our young quarterback trick. Now, I know they have a new coaching staff. So I don't know how big of a Jameis fan he is. I think they might be looking to when I first saw that trade, I was like, they want a quarterback with one of those picks and a player to support their quarterback. With the other one, they may just do the Patriots did last year and just say, hey, we'll take the third or fourth guy who falls to us. I don't know. I can't see them just rolling into next year running it back with Jameis Winston off a torn ACL. That's just me. That's just a gut, more than a gut feeling than anything else.
Yeah, the more I think about New Orleans, the tougher they are to project what they're going to do in the draft. They're kind of like in no man's land because they've got 2 middle of the first round picks. Like, to me, Willis is the type of quarterback they would go after, but I can't imagine Willis getting past the top 9.
Agreed.
I think between Carolina and Seattle, I think one of those teams is going to snatch him up. So, yeah, I think New Orleans could go a number of different ways, but they are one team in this draft. To me, they could go anywhere with their draft. So, with what they do, it's going to be interesting. So we'll go to number 4 right now, and this team has $15 million in cap space, and they have 5 picks in the first 3 rounds as well. 15, 18, 51, 83, and 101. That is combined draft value of 2,611, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles. So the Eagles, I mean, how much do they really believe in Jalen Hurts? Obviously, you have Devontae Smith, who looks like a pretty legit wide receiver, but they really need another receiver to go with him because this team has been abysmal at drafting wide receivers outside of Smith. Between JJ and Jalen Reagor, I mean, oh my God. You turn on Philadelphia sports radio, they still lament the JJ Arcega-Whiteside draft over DK Metcalf. It is unbelievable. They are on that like we are on Kyle Brady and Warren Sapp. It is unbelievable how depressed Philadelphia gets over that pick. So Philadelphia, as we know, has a few needs. I think defensive end, offensive line, wide receiver to me are some of their biggest needs. So maybe Samuel could be a fit for the Philadelphia Eagles. They definitely have some draft capital and they have some cap space. So that's number 4 on my list is the Eagles.
Yeah, just a simple point. Gitmo wanted to tell you to stop bashing on Mims because of the penalties. Okay.
One bashing. No. It isn't personal. My expectations are low, but my hopes are up there. It's like I'll always, if the player is on the team, I will hope. But that doesn't mean I'm going to expect. So.
It's more of a concern. But I think that part of it and what I'm hoping is changing with Mims, and this is an encouraging, hopeful way because I love him. I want him to do great. I'm a Jets fan. With Mims, I want him to be able to learn the playbook and pick up on it and, get the offseason work he needs to improve his
boy.
route running. I want him to become and develop into a guy that's a great part of this team. I do. I really do. And I think that part of the reason he got penalties was because he simply didn't know the offense. And if he gets that down, if he learns the offense better and knows where he's supposed to be, and he works on his route running, he's got every physical attribute to be very special.
Yes, and he
And
did.
I'm not
I mean,
bashing Denzel and Gitmo. I saw your chat. I'm not bashing the guy. I'm not knocking him personally. It's nothing like that. Just after the season, I'm not counting on him as being a starter or a big time producer in this offense. And the penalties were annoying because I feel the Jets have been a very penalized team for a while, and I'm tired of it. So to me, it's like, get your head in the game. I mean, an encouraging, loving, kick in the ass kind of way. But enough of me. Jeremy, I have a question for you. Who is Ariana who just showed up here in the chat?
I just want to shout out, Ariana Garcia.
Okay.
Someone from work who must have found out about my channel and who came
Awesome.
into the chat. So thank you for being here and supporting. And I'm shouting you out, Ariana Garcia from Aspire. Thanks for supporting me. I appreciate that.
All right. Oh, let's go. So I guess we could go to number 3. Okay, so this is the highest ranking NFC team on my list. And somebody did already mention them in the chat. I think John did. $18 million in cap space. So these other teams that we mentioned already, they all had about 2,000, about 2,600 in draft cap value. This team has over 4,000 in points in cap value, in draft value. It's the Detroit Lions. They have picks 2, 32, 34, 66, and 97. So to me, Detroit, I think Detroit is a real dark horse. Now, they have St. Brown as one wide receiver, who was a very good pick last year. And I'm sure they want to get Jared Goff. They really need a go-to player on that offense. They really don't have one. And Samuel would absolutely be the focal point of the Detroit Lions offense, because you talk about an offense that needs an identity. I think they need it even more than the Jets do. So that's the Lions.
Guys, we're just on the cusp of breaking 50 viewers at the same time in the stream for only the second time in the history of the channel. And yes, I will give something away. So if we hit 50, we're going to definitely have to give something away, give away some fun prize. We're at 48 right now. Don't go anywhere.
Everybody tell one person that you know. Come on.
Yeah. Well, not even. If nobody leaves, if everybody stays put, a couple of people will jump in and we'll hit 50. So just hang in there. We'll give away some basketball cards or something, some football cards. Oh, we went down to 47. No, you got to hang in there. Okay. But anyway, we're really
play-by-play you all tune in for every Wednesday night, ladies and gentlemen.
We're really close to hitting 50. And just in case you were paying attention or wondering, is he going to give something away? Yes, I will give something away if we get to 50. Do you have any more teams? So you're talking about Detroit. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah, I've got 2 more after this.
Okay.
After this, so the last one will be the Jets, but Kansas City is the other team. So they have 18 million in cap space right now, which is amazing to me considering the Patrick Mahomes contract. But their draft capital is not that high, 21.56. They have picks 29, 30, 50, 62, 94, and 103. Now, they don't have the most valuable draft picks, but they have the greatest number of draft picks. So they have a little bit more flexibility to make a trade with. So they could very well offer like the 29 and the 30. And I mean, if they're going to lose Tyreek Hill, DEEBO Samuel will be a pretty fine replacement as far as that goes. Now, we know Sammy Watkins, I think, went to Green Bay. So, yes, they need to sign him. Kansas City's in desperate need of a wide receiver at this point. And if they could get the right offer for Samuel, number one, they're a winning team. 2, they're outside of the NFC. And 3, who wouldn't want to play with Patrick Mahomes as their quarterback? So Kansas City would concern me in this situation.
The flip side, though, is I don't know if it makes sense for Kansas City to not want to pay Tyreek Hill, who fits their quarterback in their system perfectly, who they've had high production with, who they won a Super Bowl with, and then to turn around and give up a bunch of draft capital and pay the bag to DEEBO Samuel. That would just be a little bit of a head scratcher to me.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, Hill got $30 million from Miami, right?
Yeah, so maybe they think they can get DEEBO for cheap. He's a little younger. I don't know. I mean, would it make them the favorites in the AFC? I'm thinking, yeah, if they aren't already.
I mean, pretty close. And since Patrick Mahomes is the focal point of their offense, I mean, their offense is built around a quarterback. I can't say the same necessarily for San Francisco. You're not counting on Samuel to be running routes as much. So there he would be a wide receiver more than anything. So to me, that would make sense. And the Jets, so as far as the Jets go, they currently have 17 million in cap space. So they would be they would be fourth on the list, but only 2 million behind New Orleans, who's number one. And they have the highest draft capital of any of these teams. They have 4, 10, as we know, 4, 10, 35, 38, and 69. That's 4,415. So the draft capital is far and away Jets and Lions by far. They blow the other teams out of the water in terms of what they could offer in a trade. So if you look at it out of the conference, most ability to offer premium draft capital, the Jets do seem to make sense. They really do. So that's the breakdown of 7 teams that could trade for DEEBO Samuel.
Yeah, the Jets are the Vegas favorite if he leaves. If he is traded, the Jets are the Vegas favorite to land him. And I know that it was kind of an eye roll whenever people would say, oh, Elijah Moore knows this receiver, so we're going to bring him in. But those things, once we know a guy is on the block, those things do matter, because if DEEBO Samuel is going to make this trade contingent on signing an extension, which obviously he will, him knowing our offensive coordinator, him having a reportedly good relationship with our head coach, with Laken Tomlinson being maybe the most respected player from the 49ers locker room last year, you don't think there's some text messages going on right now? So that is not, it's like one of those things where it's like nothing is everything, but everything is something. So that does matter too. So we check a lot of boxes.
Yeah, I hope Laken Tomlinson's texting him right now.
Okay, so just let you know, we did hit 50. So let me tell you, we're not going to do it right at this moment, but I'll let you know what we're giving away. What the giveaway is going to be, in case any of you likes to collect basketball cards, we're going to give away this is from the Silver Set collection. I believe it's from the mid-1990s or early 1990s. We're going to give away Scottie Pippen,
nice,
John Stockton, Jason Kidd, and Reggie Miller. So we're going to give away 4 alls from the Silver Set, 4 star players in their time. And we'll be giving that away a little bit later. So a little bit, just give us some time. We want to finish up here, but we'll be giving that away. I just want to go through some chats from before, but that's today's giveaway. Thank you for getting us to 50 today. Thanks for helping us hit 50, especially you, J. Cole. Probably did it with, will probably contributed about 8 accounts.
And subscribe if you're new. Get Jeremy to 500 so he can do community posts to keep you guys updated.
Yes, guys, we really need to get to 500 exactly, so I could do those community posts. Also, 500 will allow for me to give away 5 Matt O'Leary Boycott the Beat T-shirts. I've been promising that for a long time. All the proceeds from the Boycott the Beat T-shirts go to the Children of St. Jude. So it's all for a good cause. 5 T-shirts. Everyone will get a Boycott the Beat T-shirt. When I hit 500 subs, there'll be 5 winners. And I'm going to do it right away when we hit 500. So
they make you wait a week, man. I just hit 500 yesterday. They make you wait a week before you can do it. I was so mad.
Before you can do the community too. Okay.
Yeah.
But you got to sub up, guys. You got to sub up. You got to do it.
We are 62 away. 62 away.
You got to get there.
We'll get there. We got to get
there by draft night. We got this.
Yep. Anyway, let's look at some chat now. I got to go backwards because there's a lot of comments before. So there was a comment before about if we did the DEEBO trade and traded 10, they were saying, what would your thoughts be about the draft? Like, what would we do in the draft? And I wanted to start by answering that and saying, for me personally, the first thing I do, if we traded, let's say, pick number 10 and something in the future or a player, whatever it was, and we got DEEBO Samuel, I feel, and I've said it before, that would replace picking a wide receiver at 10 anyway. So I would pick I would stay to a very similar strategy. I would go for edge with 4. I would assume my 10 pick is DEEBO Samuel in a sense. And then I would go to the same strategy with 35 and 38 that I've always said. Linebacker, safety, Brees Hall, possibly. Tyler Lindenbaum if he slips there. But I go back to the same exact strategy, except that 10 now becomes DEEBO Samuel.
That's word for word what I would do, Jeremy.
You know, the funny thing, I agree with the strategy, but I will admit, I just sent Green Bean an article yesterday to publish, and I have a couple of draft targets who I would avoid that Jets fans are talking about, and one of the guys I would avoid is Brees Hall. So, yeah, so I'm going to counter that much, but yeah, this is what I've been thinking about is the chance of taking, if we trade down, taking a Linderbaum who seems to be dropping. I don't know why, but appears to be dropping. I mean, it's like, did his arms suddenly shrink? I mean, all of a sudden, nobody knew he had short arms 6 months ago, but all of a sudden now he can't reach from here to there. Is this like a problem that we've suddenly figured out? I mean, I don't think he suddenly forgot how to block a player, you know. So
just like Creed Humphrey last year, and Creed Humphrey stepped on the field and was a top 5 center right away.
Humphrey, yep. Yeah, I'm definitely hoping. Yeah, I'm really hoping at this point that either Hill or Brisker make it to 35 or 38 at safety. I would really like to get one of the two of them. That would really, really make me happy, I got to say.
Yep. Yes. I think ideally, if we're going to go names, it would be, if we traded the 10 for DEEBO, ideally it'd be KT at 4,
yep.
Brisker at 35, and then maybe like a Christian Harris or a Chad Muma at 38.
Works for me. Yeah, I'm game.
I'll take
that.
Game.
But, you know, Frankie has said it himself, and I'm kind of feeling it. I mean, it feels like we're never talking about linebackers. You know, with the Jets are never linked to a linebacker. They haven't signed a linebacker. All they did this offseason was cut Blake Cashman. So
traded Blake Cashman.
Right, traded. You know it, right? I'm sorry. I wrote a whole article on it. I know. It feels like forever ago. I still can't get my mind around that he pulled that crap off.
Yeah.
So the point is, it's like, does he have a linebacker that he has in mind that he's focusing on in the early rounds, or is it something we're just waiting on? I mean, you know what? Shoot, if we're able to trade back into the later rounds, into the 6th or 7th round, and take a Mike Rose from Iowa State, who's a tackling machine, who was, you know, named the I think Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, we take a sleeper like that at linebacker late in the draft. You know what? I'm game. Because he's the leader of that defense, team captain. To me, that seems like the kind of player they might want to bring in. So, or an undrafted free agent. So Mike Rose is a guy that I'm thinking about for linebacker late. Got to say, we got late picks. You got to use them on some position.
We definitely need linebacker, though. I mean, linebacker isn't that it's not discussed a lot because obviously you're not going linebacker or 4 or 10. But do we have a single linebacker on our roster that we know can be a starter in 2023? Because I don't know if CJ Mosley is going to be on the roster.
No.
And then beyond that, and we're a 4-3. There's 3 positions, and right now it's CJ Mosley and a bunch of dudes.
I feel like it's more. You know what though? I know it's called a 4-3, but at this point in the NFL, isn't more of a 4-2-5?
Yeah, it's so much nickel.
I feel like we usually have 5. Yeah, I feel like we usually have 5 defensive backs on the field anyway.
That's fair.
I think they want to play the extra safety. They want to play the extra cornerback. So, yeah, I agree with you. I just think that the priority is upgrading the defensive line, and that in turn makes the linebackers better. But you know what? And Jeremy, you and I have talked about it. As long as we have a linebacker or safety on this team who can defend a freaking screen pass, that's all I really want this year. Just give me somebody who can stop a screen. I'm good.
Gitmo Bob, by the way, Gitmo, hope you're still continuing. I know that everything went really well and you said you've been feeling a lot better. I'm glad to see you up this late. That makes me feel that you're getting even stronger and better than when you gave us the update last time. So, man, I hope everything is still going well. And it's just good to see you here, my friend. You don't know. I mean, everybody was really worried, and we're just all really glad to have you back.
We know we got him back because, you know, he's expressing all his concerns, and it's like, yep, he's back.
Awesome. Yep, I love it. Those big-time 10 running backs scare me because they are used a lot and a lot of tread off the tires before they get into the league. Yeah, I think it's that's what I think that Dom C really likes about Pierce is that he doesn't have a lot of tread on his tires, right? There are certain so the production doesn't look as high, but when you watch the per play production and you watch the tape, he looks great. So nowadays you got to look at that. The way they're hitting, the way the game is wearing people down.
That's a good point. That's fair. I mean, usually running backs, if you're probably just going to beat them up on their rookie contract, and then they're kind of done. That's kind of how they're viewed nowadays. So I would be really surprised if the Jets drafted a running back prior to the 4th round.
Yeah, there's some teams that have the philosophy of make sure you draft a quarterback every year, just so you have insurance, because you always need a backup quarterback, because if you lose your starter, your season can go down the drain. Well, you know what? To me, it makes sense to make sure you draft a running back every year, because they're so dispensable now. So to me, I'm not in favor of drafting one of these top running backs. I mean, I'm all for a Dameon Pierce, a Kyron Williams from Notre Dame, because you know why? He can block. He can pass block, and he can catch the ball out of the backfield, which is something that Jets running backs could not do last season to save their lives. So that's the kind of guy that I'm looking at. Maybe a Zonovan Knight, Tyler Algier. You could get a guy, or Jerome Ford for sure. You could get a guy like that definitely in the 3rd round or the 4th round. So that's definitely a day 3 pick for me. I agree.
Yeah, look, there's something very enticing about like going, and picking a running back early, but at the same time, we can get a decent guy in rounds 4 or 5, and we have a lot of deeper needs.
And if we have the offensive line, that blocks well enough, and I believe now we do, we have an offensive line that prioritizes stopping the run or blocking for the run more so than blocking the pass. You just need a good running back who can recognize a hole and figure out, where to go. The offensive line takes care of a good portion of the work for him anyway.
And running the football was the single best thing this team did last year. If you look at the efficiency, I mean, I wasn't a big fan of Tevin Coleman signing, but he had more tread than I thought. I mean, both him and Michael Carter going over 4 yards a carry. I like Coleman as my running back 3, get another guy for running back 2. Mekhi Becton, that's what he's known for, run blocking, Laken Tomlinson. So I completely agree, Adam. We just need to be deeper, and we can't have Ty Johnson protecting our quarterback on 3rd downs.
No more. We've said about Ty Johnson, he'll give you 1 or 2 plays a game where he will put you in awe, and he'll have 1 or 2 games where you want to cut him right on the spot.
Yeah, the Miami game, the 3 drops in the first quarter, man, I that was kind of it for me.
Oh boy, that was painful. But he could tiptoe down the sideline. Nice to watch.
So I'm just wondering, Kane, if you don't think we're going to take a running back, a safety, or a linebacker before round 3, who do you think we're going to use the 4 picks on that come before round 3? I'm curious. I would guess you're thinking edge, wide receiver, but what are the other 2 positions? I'm curious.
Maybe he's thinking we got a cornerback, offensive line, or defensive tackle.
Yeah, it could be any of those things. I was just curious because it's
any of those positions do make sense if the board falls a certain way. So, yeah. I'm asking you guys. We'll go through a few more chats, but I do have one question for you guys a little bit later that I've been thinking about. I'd like to get your opinions on it. Okay.
Well, we're almost caught up, so. Okay, go ahead. Oh, here. Oh, we got an answer. So, edge 4, wide receiver at 10, defensive tackle, or
still going to prioritize the O-line.
Okay, fair enough. I asked the question. You answered it.
Yeah, if board falls a certain way, like if Linderbaum falls to 35 and you have that chance, you jump on it. I couldn't complain about it.
It does seem like the Jets staff is higher on their linebackers and lower on the defensive line than I am. So, I've seen a lot of that. I've seen a lot of talk about defensive line in round 2, which I would personally rather go linebacker, but there's some truth to that.
It's going to be interesting. I feel like now we have a dozen different guys for the defensive line. It's like not everybody's going to make the team.
Right.
You know,
Especially, I thought Rankins was going to get cut, and now that we have him.
I'm wanting him cut since the day the season ended.
I thought it was going to be one of the first moves we made.
Million.
They did cut GVR, right?
No.
They cut the tight ends, but he's still a Jet.
He's still here. We cut Griffin and we cut Shaq Lawson. That's it, as far as I remember. Might be one or two other lower cost guys, but that's really it. We still have Greg Van Roten.
Yeah.
So
talking with Jets Tigo, I love Cole Strange, but I think 38's too high.
Yeah, too high. Third round is probably being kind. I would say. So I guess here's what I want to ask. We have pick number 4. Yeah. What in your mind is the worst case scenario with the first 3 picks? Like, what would the first 3 picks be where you'd be like, this is not how I wanted this to go? So who would the 3 players be that you would not want to see gone, if that question makes sense?
Who do we not want to see gone?
Yeah, like for instance, for me, it would be something like if Hutchinson, Thibodeau, and Sauce were gone, I would be really, really disappointed. So those would probably be like my 3 guys. If they were gone, I'd be like, "Ooh, this is not good."
For me, it's probably. I mean, it could be Hamilton or Gardner. I mean, the thing that's gone also with Thibodeau and Hutchinson. The thing that scares me is Thibodeau and Hutchinson are gone, and whoever it is that's gone also. The worst case for me is that we don't have any really good trade offers. Like we don't have any shoppers to trade down with, and we're forced to make that number 4 pick. That's my worst case scenario. It's like we're forced to take a Jermaine Johnson or whoever they like. One of the other guys, Karlaftis or whoever it is, whoever they like, or if they take Hamilton or Gardner, the one that slips. To me, that's a worst case because I really want Thibodeau. Guys, to me, so much of the draft is going to depend on my satisfaction and being really happy and celebrating is us getting Thibodeau. Like, I like a lot of those other guys, but to me, they're all more dart throws. Whereas Thibodeau, I'm so much more confident in. I have so much confidence. I watch this kid week after week living out here on the West Coast. I mean, I love him, and I've always loved him. So it's really hard for me to. For me, it's like such a strong want that we get Thibodeau.
You know what I'm really thinking I'm going to be doing? And I never really paid too much attention to this during the draft, but this time I think I will when we're on the clock. As that clock is ticking down, 10 minutes, 9 minutes, and so on, I have a bad omen. If it gets to like 000s and we're just waiting, that's going to tell me that we are exhausting every single possibility to trade out of that pick. I'm going to be interested to see how quickly we announce our pick when we're on the clock on next Thursday night. It's going to be very interesting.
I think if KT's on the board, it'll be pretty quick.
I think so too.
I think my worst scenario, I agree with you, Adam, that those might be like the top 3 players, and I don't know if I'm hyping Jermaine Johnson up because I just want a good edge rusher so bad. But for me, the worst case scenario would be Hutchinson, KT, and then Jermaine Johnson, which I don't think is likely that happens because I'm not a huge Trevon Walker or George Karlaftis fan. So then to me, we would probably go Sauce at 4, and then it's a gamble on who the edge is at 10. And now we're in the position of maybe having to trade up for back up for a wide receiver. So ideally, I want edge at 4 and wide receiver at 10. And if the top 3 edge prospects are gone, that kind of throws a wrench. You can reach a little bit. Like if Jermaine Johnson is the 8th best guy on your board and you need an edge, you could take him. But if he's the 13th best guy and Sauce is the 2nd best guy on your board, you got to take Sauce. So that would be tough for me because we need an edge rusher bad.
Yeah, I just don't want to get married to one position at a certain.
You're right.
I feel like that's where you reach and that's where you bust. That's what I'm always scared of.
You're 100% right. I can't get it out of my head, man.
I know. At this point, we've all become, okay, edge has to be here. Wide receiver has to be here. We don't control that. we don't have that kind of control, because if you have a chance, I mean, I would rather have, even if it's a slightly less position of need, like cornerback, if you have a chance to get Sauce and you think he's going to be a excellent number 1 cornerback for 10 years as opposed to a decent rotational pass rusher for a little bit and being like, maybe we should keep this guy. Maybe we shouldn't for a second contract. I'm sorry, you got to fill that spot and take, the Pro Bowl caliber player, because you have a guy who can lock down a wide receiver like that. That only helps the rest of the defense.
You're never going to regret taking a great player, regardless of position. That pick is taking a great player is always going to age well, no matter what.
Man, we got so many people coming in and out. I'm forgetting to say hello to people. Eminon, man, is here. And Grandizer, Miami Dolphin fan, is here. But he loves hearing us talk about the Jets. He likes to hear the other content providers talk about teams. Very popular in our community because he is really cool to talk to. And he's like not a trash talker. He's good if you want to be able to talk Miami Dolphins and Jets. He's a guy you could talk to that's very respectful. So make sure everybody, you respect him right back. And because it's nice to be able to talk to the fans of other teams that are able to talk intelligently and, without making it crazy and cursing and yelling and screaming, but just have an interesting, good conversation.
Amen. And that's one of the coolest things about your channel, bro, is like I have all Jets fans in my comments, but you got like people from all over. So that's pretty cool. You got a wide reach.
We try. I think what helps a little bit is our watch parties that me and my brother do during the season. I think that helped us a little. We found some other fans that way, but one day, in the long-term plans and the big dream and scheme of things, I would like it to be a lot more people from all over the NFL in a place where, we could have discussions across multiple teams. So that's the goal eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I didn't realize you hit 500. That's amazing. I mean, it's funny because when I introduced you, I said the fastest growing YouTube content provider in the world. And you might be, man. You might be the fastest growing YouTube content provider there is. For you to be at 500 already, that's just incredible. And it's like, it just shows your talent and the hard work that you're willing to put in.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah. And you're better looking than me.
I just have a more expensive camera.
Let's put a poll up. I think we should have the chat decide that. Have a good night, Dark.
I like that. I have two families. Oh, Dark is going to good night. Good night, Dark. Yeah. Nighty night, Dark. It always feels like a loss when Dark. Oh, don't leave yet, Dark. I'll give away the cards now. So, do you have any trivia, Adam?
Oh, you didn't? I didn't know we were going to do that tonight.
Let's give away some cards. Well, we hit 50, so I'm going to give away some cards.
Yeah, I do have a trivia question in mind, as a matter of fact. All right, let's see what we can do here. Actually, you know what? I got a couple on my phone here. Let me find a good one. Find one that's not. I'm not going to pull out one that's too difficult. Well, maybe I will. Okay. All right. I'm gonna. All right. Here's a question. This is gonna be Jets draft related. All right. Here's your question, chat. Since the common draft era, so we're going back to like 1970. There has only been one Jet who was drafted that played college football at Syracuse University. Name that player.
All right, guys. We already have Friggle D is saying Sapuli Mala.
He's actually the answer to a later trivia question I have down the road, amazingly enough.
Lee Cravat, according to Jets Best Mess. Is he right?
I knew Lee Cravat was good. Rob Moore was not a draft pick. We got him in the supplemental draft.
Okay.
Now I will give some hints to narrow it down.
Jerry Rhodes?
I don't want to keep us. I wanted to do one that was just one answer. So this is just what I had on cue. John Riggins, he went to Kansas.
Someone said Kerry Rhodes. Did he go to Cuse?
Kerry Rhodes?
Kerry Rhodes, I thought went to like Louisville or something. I thought it was like a Kentucky school, I want to say.
Kerry Rhodes.
We got a winner.
Paul Phrase?
Paul Phrase. That's it.
So is it talking with Jets? Talking Jets with Tigo?
Talking Jets with Tigo, got it. 1988, 6th round defensive end. He played for the Jets for like 4 or 5 years. He had a pretty decent run. So yeah, Paul Phrase is the winner.
Well, here's an exciting thing. Talking Jets with Tigo. Just subscribe to the channel. I got a bunch of new subscribers tonight. This has been a great night. So it's a great night to give away some cards. So I'm going to send this pack of cards to you. Oh, these bunch of superstar players to you. Reggie Miller. I said it before. Scottie Pippen, a bunch of good players from the silver set. I don't know if they're worth that much money, but they're nice cards. They're beautiful and they're in mint condition. You have to basically, you can email me at jcravat@gmail.com. I'll put it in the chat. Or you could just find me on Twitter, NFL Chaos with Jeremy at Jeremy Cravat 2. I think those are the two easiest and best ways to find me. But my email is in the chat, my friend. You are the winner. I will mail these out to you. Usually by the end of the week, I get everything out. I still have to send Phenom. He hasn't gotten a hold of me, so I got to get his stuff out too. So make sure you reach out to me so I can get your information. And that was fun. Give something away. And just for those of you watching, I give stuff away every once in a while. You never know when it's going to happen. Again, when we get to 500, it'll be fun. We're going to give away a bunch of T-shirts. And I got a very special Stephon Marbury rookie card that's worth a bunch of money. I got a Michael Jordan card that's worth a bunch of money. And you never know when it's going to happen. But there's going to be some occasions where I'm going to want to give those things away. So keep watching. Keep looking out for it. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you won't miss out. So it looks like Iowan is mad, so he's going to bed because he didn't win. He wanted the Reggie Miller so bad. You know, Iowa, Indiana, what's the difference, right? I mean, he probably is a huge fan of Reggie Miller, so he's pissed. Okay. I mean, you wouldn't think that Starbury's card is worth so much, but his rookie card is worth a bundle of money.
Yeah, it's probably worth a lot in China, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. He's popular there. Oh, okay. So in our final minutes to wrap it up, let's see. New York Jets fan 4 is here. He's saying thanks for letting everyone know I was wrong. Well, don't worry about it. I haven't gotten the trivia. I haven't gotten one of Adam's questions right probably ever. So you don't have to worry about it.
In all fairness, since we do have a smaller group for this show than we do on Thursday nights, I should pull out ones that are maybe a little bit easier. I guess I just have to have a couple ready to go at a moment's notice. So that's fine. Yeah.
Oh, Charles B is living the good life right now. Whiskey, autocorrect, bad combination, also sitting in the spa. So, wow. I want your life, man. I want to be sitting in.
That's like a triple whammy right there.
I want that life right now. Okay. My back is killing me. I want to be in a spa, believe me.
Oh my gosh.
I
like a whiskey and ginger ale. That's one of my go-to cocktails with a nice, like a quarter of lime, especially good in the airports where you got on an airplane.
Yeah. Hey, Talking Jets with Tico, we wouldn't have been able to. You wouldn't have been able to win if we used your questions. So it's good that you didn't. Make sure you reach out to me so you can collect your prize.
I like how people lately have been like turning the trivia around on me. They really like to do this. It's like their revenge or something like that. I'm like, it is kind of cool.
Oh, J. Cole's begging for some attention. He's calling himself a pimp.
It ain't easy.
Matthew Smith, is Matthew Smith on vacation?
Apparently he is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. He seems so young. I can't imagine him on vacation.
Matthew, I admire your persistence, or your dedication, I guess. If you're in a hot tub, yet you're still thinking of the show. It's quite a statement.
Can I ask you both get your take on something before you wrap up here?
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there a popular opinion circulating with Jets draft talk or draft talk in general that you just think is BS, that is a myth that you would like to dispel? Because I saw Jets Today do on his channel. He was doing some fact or fiction. I thought he had some pretty good takes. I was wondering what you guys thought. Is there anything that is active on Jets Twitter where you're just like, this is a myth, this is fake news, or this is you just disagree with it?
For me, it's the outside pundits who are constantly. I was listening to. I listened to some of the Locked On podcasts, the daily podcasts about different teams, and I listened to one about the NFL draft, and they're doing like an ultimate mock. And with every Jets pick, it's like they should really get Derek Stingley. He's a perfect fit in this spot. I'm like, I don't want to freaking hear about Derek Stingley again. I can't. I'm tired of it. I know he's held. I know he's coming back and all of this and that. I don't want to take the risk. I don't want D. Milliner Part 2. I'm tired of these outside pundits who feel like they know what the Jets need and they know what's best. You know what? They don't. They don't know what's best. That's why they're analysts and they don't have general manager jobs. So enough of this Stingley talk. Put it to bed, please.
Yeah. I get you. I I just want to address this because I don't want this to happen to me. So I want to just, and in case I'm misunderstanding what you're saying, Friggle, you're asking about Frankie getting a big head because he's getting too big, or I miss the humble Frankie. I just want to say this, and I don't know what that's about. Like I'm assuming there's a chance it's just about the attention he's paying to people in the chat, maybe, or he's not seeming to do what he used to do. So I just want to say this is somebody who's starting to grow, and I'm not even close to getting where he's gotten already. In the beginning, I was telling you, I will highlight your chats. I will, never make you guys feel like ignored or anything like that. And I'm already feeling the stress of it. Like it's already really hard to run the show and really give the attention to the chat the way I initially wanted to. Because first of all, we got to do the show so we can grow and people are listening to us talk. So we can't just only go through the chat. And then when I do, there's so many, and it's really, really hard. Green Bean says it too. That's why I help him with his super chats, because he'll miss super chats because he's trying to run the show. So if that's what you mean, just because like he's not highlighting chats or acknowledging you as much as he did, then I'm going to say no, he doesn't have a big head. He's just probably overwhelmed. He exploded onto and I want to say this for all YouTube providers, because I'm learning that it's not easy, because I used to get bent out of shape when suddenly I felt I was being ignored. You're not being ignored. It's just really, really hard as you grow and you get so many more people in the chat and you want everybody to feel included. That's the problem with growth. Sometimes you lose some of that originality, that feel of the beginning of that closeness. I'm trying really hard myself to make sure that doesn't happen. But I just wanted to say that out there because I don't want people to start thinking that Frankie has a big head. I mean, Adam, we know him from behind the scenes with Green Bean. We talked to him in the chat. As far as from where I'm standing, it's the same Frankie. It's just a really busy one who's really putting his heart into his channel. So he's really busy and he's really overwhelmed.
Hey, he just hit his 1,000 subscribers. Once you do that, you cross that milestone. I mean, you just can't, you have to go through his agent and through his people. And then maybe he'll write you a letter back. Frank will still write you a postcard, I'm sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Friggle. No, Friggle, I think they still love you and appreciate both Green Bean and Frankie. I think, believe me, from someone who does it, you never forget the people who've been with you the whole way. I promise you. They're just overwhelmed. They're busy. I don't think they're ducking you. That's my opinion. That's my opinion.
It's not personal.
Yeah, it's not. It's just that's just my opinion, because I worry that that's how some of you feel about me sometimes when it's getting busy and I'm busy with work, and you know what I mean. I'm no longer able to reply to everything. Like I used to give a whole big reply. Now when people comment, I'm just like, thanks, great, thanks for watching. You know what I mean? It's just time consuming.
Both of you guys are going to be in like Patreon territory before you know it. People are going to be paying to have conversations with you. It'll get there one day. You never know.
Well, thank you, Phenom.
I don't think Buffalo believes me on that, but that's okay.
Well, I hear what you're saying, Jeremy, because and I don't even belong in the same sentence as some of the other guys that you mentioned. But even me, like a comment used to be like a Christmas miracle.
Yeah.
Someone not only clicked on my video, but had something to say, and it wasn't mean. But now, like, there's a lot of times where I can just go through and like all my comments when I'm busy. But you're right, there are 5 or 6 names in my head of like my first subscribers that always will hold a special place in my heart, no doubt.
Yeah. Yeah. It's rough. Hopefully, Friggle D, you won't feel that way very long. Maybe it's just coincidence that you got left out the last couple of times. Because everybody knows that you're an OG, Friggle, so don't worry about that. Hey, Phenom, if you like the show and you like the content, don't forget to subscribe to Buffalo Jets Fan. That's who you're watching right now. If you probably figured that out. If you're not subscribed to his channel, give him the sub. He's awesome. So like that's the one good thing. If I do one thing right, if there's one thing I feel really proud about more than anything else, is I feel like I am really good at, not that he wouldn't be where he is anyway, I'm not saying got you there, but I recognize talent well. Like, because I went for you early, Buffalo Jeff, and there's gonna be a time where people are fighting to have you on their show, and I knew right away. I said, "Oh, I want to partner with that guy. I want to collab with that guy," and I knew right away with Adam, I want to collab with that guy, and Dom C and Nick. So I'm really proud of my choices because I feel like I brought great people into this show. So that's like more than anything, that's like to me the most important thing is just bringing people together, and I'm just glad that like I've been able to like do that a little bit. So
here's my question: when the mock draft's in, what are you and Dom going to be doing?
We're going to just talk about players, in-depth analysis of players, like from the draft, how we think they're going to do on their teams, the fits. Then during the season, we're going to look at players and how they're playing, and he's going to talk about what he likes and sees and what he doesn't. We'll probably feature a lot of Jets, obviously. So but he's really good at that. He's really good at watching the tape. And looking into those little details of, what players do. So that's like kind of like how I work with him. Like he's just really good at. He's like a scout. He's my scout.
He's excellent. Dom C and when there's two guys that the second they give an opinion about a player, right away I second guess my opinion if they disagree with me. That's Joe Blewett and Dom C. Those guys do their homework.
Yeah. And then. And Adam's my facts guy, right? Otherwise, I'm just some schmuck talking. But with Adam, it's like he could back up the things I'm saying or tell me when I'm wrong, because he's another one who does the research and gets the information and gives reality.
Yeah, I have fun doing it. I mean, I do like game previews for the Virginia Jets fans group. I started doing videos about 2 years ago, game previews. So to me, it was just the research that I was doing for those videos. It's just like, well, shit, I'm doing game previews. Now I'm just doing it in a little bit more depth. I would do occasional trivia contests. I just mentioned it to Green Bean. I'm like, yeah, we're doing trivia this week. Why don't I give you guys the trivia question? Now it's a weekly feature. I mean, that's how this stuff happens. It's crazy. And next thing you know, it just becomes, an every week occurrence. It becomes a habit. And it just becomes part of your life. It's so cool how things like this happen. It really is.
You guys are adding something unique too. I mean, there's the Jets YouTube world is a crowded market, and there's some talented people, and I think you guys have etched out a niche that's unique. But Jeremy, I never got your what's your draft pet peeve or myth, because Adams was stingy.
You almost got away with it.
I think I just don't want to hear any more about us taking Evan Neal or Ekwano with our number 4 pick. I'm tired of that.
I agree. So I'm cornerback outside of Sauce, and you're offensive tackle. Okay.
Yeah, I think Adam, you made a good point. Is that even big guys like Mel Kiper? Obviously, Mel Kiper knows the draft prospects better than I do, but he doesn't know the Jets better than I do, or you do, or Jeremy does. So they have to cover 32 teams. That's why sometimes you'll see, even when I do a mock. That's why I stopped doing mocks of the whole first round, because some Arizona Cardinals fan would be like, no, we have this player that I didn't know about that's coming back from an injury. So I just didn't know enough to make an educated full first round mock outside of the top 10. For me, I think there's a couple. And this one, I'll give my least popular one, I guess. The one I'll probably get the most pushback. I think it's a myth that there is a ocean of difference between the value of the 4th pick and the 10th pick, because I know what the trade value chart says. I get that. And maybe in other drafts it wouldn't be true. But I think if we think of the picks between, because I hear it all the time, like, I take that guy at 10, but no way would I touch him at 4. There is not a single prospect in this draft that I feel like that's a true statement for. When you think at picks 5 through 9, I think it's likely 3 of those picks will be positions not of need. I think 2 offensive linemen and a quarterback go 5 through 9. you're essentially talking about a 2 prospect difference. I mean, people say you can't take wide receiver at 4. Well, Atlanta can take Garrett Wilson at 8, but we can't take him at 4. To me, that's a little bit of a myth, and I know not everyone agrees with that.
Yeah, well, and it's fun. That's another thing I was gonna say. It's cool, right? Man, some of the people out there, like in some of the different social medias, when you disagree with someone, it gets so nasty. It's like, it's just crazy how nasty it gets.
I think that's one reason I don't even have a channel. It's just because the name calling and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't want to deal with it. I think
you want to know what my first ever comment was on a video?
It's just too much. Yeah.
What was that? It just said, "You look old." That's it. Just
so now you have like a makeup artist who takes care of you.
Yeah.
Hey, you should spend a little time in the spa. It actually might help. Hey, Matthew, get Buffalo Jet Fan in touch with that spa down in Maryland. We need to be pampered. We need to hook him up. And Jeremy, don't you have to go tuck J. Cole in now that he's saying goodnight?
Well, I live about 3,000 miles away from him, so
But he is your son.
I gotta go back and look at my first comment. It was probably Craig, my friend from Texas, because he was. I don't know if you know this, Buffalo, but a lot of I started with Green Bean. He gave me my first airtime, camera time. Well, actually, Ryan did for a little bit during last year's draft, and then Green Bean had me on a lot. And then I actually started with Frankie when he did his channel. We had a show together. So he gave, I learned how to do a show from him. And we did a show together for a long time. So, it's amazing how it spawns off, right? Like how these things happen. Like, because, and then we met on Green Bean's channel. So Green Bean kind of like, we're kind of birthed from Green Bean as a YouTube channel. It's just interesting.
It's like if you look at one of those like family trees, it's like, you got like Green Bean up there, and then you have like people branching off this one, branching off that one, and
like Russian egg dolls.
Right, exactly right. and then you go back to Jet Central, and it's like, okay, guys, man, we got DEEBO. I'm sorry, I got to put a little hair in front. Yeah, this is a little more DEEBO Samuel. There we go. Oh, guys, man, DEEBO Samuel's going to be traded. Oh my gosh, I just left the gym. I got in my car. I couldn't believe that this happened.
Anyway, I forgot what I was saying. Eric Craig was a big fan of Frankie and channel and our show. So when I started my channel, he was the first person to jump over and stayed with Frankie, but also sub to my channel. And I believe he was my first comment. Sorry to cut you off, but I realized afterwards I forgot how I started my story.
I would just said, how do I get a gig like Y2K? I'd like to co-host a show, but not deal with Twitter.
Who's asking that?
Iowa. I'm like, I didn't even know I had a gig. I mean, I kind of do. I have like a semi gig. It's a weekly thing that it's just for fun. I guess I don't know. I guess I'm in, but not fully in. I guess.
I'll tell Iowa Jets one thing for sure. So when the season starts, not that I won't have you on. I mean, I'll have you on Fridays and stuff, but like in Sundays possibly. That's fine. Because I think he's fine and he has interesting things to say. But even more than that, when we do our watch parties, me and my brother, we like to have guests pop in and pop out. So you can also remember, we don't do the Jet games. We do like the next game, and like we'll do the red zone. We'll do like 3 games at the same time, and we'll jump around to whatever game is exciting. So you're welcome to join us on that one every week for a little bit each time. Like if you want to jump in once in a while and help us call games. But you'll also, just let me know. Fridays, I'm always looking for people on Fridays to come hang out. I like to mix it up with different faces.
Are you going live for the draft, Jeremy?
No, I'm going to have my wife, or I'm going to set up the tripod to record my reactions to the picks. But it's going to be more watching the Jets panel with Ryan, 24/7, Green Bean and O'Leary. I usually hang with them in the chat and watch the draft. But I'll definitely record my reactions because I would love to show everybody, like maybe have it as part of an intro to a show, like just my reactions to the drafts. But
yeah.
Also, I might. I don't know if it's official or definite, but I might have a 15-minute slot on that show on Ryan's channel on Saturday. They might be giving me 15 minutes on Saturday, day 3. Which I don't care. It's always exciting to get onto 24/7. Is always exciting. We have like 1,000 people watching. So if I can get on, that would be an amazing opportunity. So I don't want to jinx it, but there's a chance that I'll be on that. So
All right, I gotta respond to like 2 things here, real quick. Number one, talking Jets with Tigo. I need you to start a channel, Watsu-K99. I want your unadulterated, unfiltered takes and opinions. I'm being serious. So I do have a channel. Mostly what I put on it is the game preview videos that I've been doing before each Jets game. But in terms of actual takes, I haven't really been doing that. I feel like the technology I have is not as up to date as I would want it to be, and I would have to figure that out. But if it is something that people want to do, I can't promise it's going to be Jets only. It might be different types of sports and things like that because, there's so many great Jet content providers about that. I mean, it's not something that I don't want to be just the latest one. And I was, the thing with Jet Central, I was doing that out of respect, because he's one of the OGs. That was out of respect and just, maybe a little different way because it's the imitations, the sincerest form of flattery. And Stacy, as far as I know, Jets by Jimmy was doing some stuff for a while, but I think he just wasn't producing content as consistently as some of the others do.
He's got some stuff. He's got some stuff going on, but he's got some stuff going on. But when he's back, you'll know because he knows that he's invited on here to announce his return as soon as he gets back. So. We'll see him again. He's just got some stuff going on. That's all. It's been
and I should ask. So for Saturday, Sunday, because Friday I'll be watching the draft with the Jets group. In fact, one of my biggest regrets is that I didn't have a camera on me when the Jets made the trade up to take Elijah Vera Tucker because you would have seen me jump on my chair out of just pure delight when I realized that they were trading up for him. It was quite a reaction. I will say that. But as far as Saturday and Sunday go, are you going to be following 24/7 that day or doing any type of a recap? What do we think about day 2 and day 3?
Yeah, I think I don't want to conflict with Buff. Like one of the things I try to do is not compete like over like time. Like I don't want to go on while he's on. But like we work it out. If you want to be here, Buffalo, I know that afterwards, then I'm going to be on with Buffalo. On the Monday, May 2nd, I believe.
Yeah,
I'll be on with Buffalo on his channel, with a reaction to the draft. But if we go on, and you're certainly welcome to join us with this, Buffalo, Friday and Saturday night. I do my normal Friday night show, but if you want to do a special show on Saturday to react to the draft overall, like we could do all that.
Yeah, somebody asked, and I'm not gonna live stream the draft. I'm gonna want to watch the I just don't know. I don't think I'm there yet for enough people. There's, everyone's going to be at 24/7. But I will be on standby to pop out like instant reaction videos, especially to the first 4 picks. Like I have thumbnails made for every possible player we can take. Like it's ready to go. So I'm going to have the mic ready. So like right after the pick, I'll have videos out within minutes that you guys can like catch the next day or whatever. So come by, check it out, like the video if you like the video, subscribe if you don't just subscribe to do me a favor. I don't need any dead subs. If my content is trash, tell me in the comments. I'll make it better.
I'm the opposite. Give me the subs. No,
And here's the thing: the people who may not like you but still stay subscribed. That's the part that I would find funny. It's like if you don't like it, unsubscribe. But so
Rob V, are we friends on Twitter? I think we are on Twitter. Why don't you message me on Twitter, Rob V? If we're not, then I put my email in here all the time. Just hit me up. Rob V has been here forever, so it'd be ridiculous for me to not put him on. I don't know why you're guaranteeing me subs. That's not the requirement.
Maybe he means like Subway sandwiches.
Give me Jersey. If it's going to be national, give me Jersey Mike's. Okay, yeah, no. We ain't going no Subway here.
Yeah, email me, man.
Not with the nut jobs they have endorsing their product. They'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
And if you guys follow me on Twitter, I'm always happy to have Jets fans. I don't have as consistent of a schedule as Jeremy with my live streams. I'm still trying to kind of figure this all out. But if you do, it's my same name on Twitter. If you message me, I'd be happy to. I'm kind of busy up until the draft, but into the summer, I'd be happy to have you on.
Just to give folks an update, I'm not sure about what I'll be doing tomorrow. Usually I come on late for the trivia. I did text Green Bean about this, but he didn't respond, so God only knows if he got the text. But I'm going to be doing a day trip tomorrow to New York City, going to the Mets-Giants game.
Nice.
So I'll be getting up in exactly 3 hours and 3.5 hours to get a plane, and I'll probably be flying back about 9 p.m. So my hope is I'll be able to come on maybe early and do a trivia question or something like that. But by the time that show's ending, I'll be I'll be in the air somewhere between New York and Virginia. So just to give everybody a heads up on that if you're going to be in for Green Bean show tomorrow night.
Hey, Jets Mess. I want to thank you for constantly reminding people to hit the like button and subscribe. That's an amazing thing you're doing for me. I really appreciate it. I don't want you to think I don't notice, because I totally notice. So thank you for that, guys. We're going to be. Oh, wait a second. We can't go before we say hello to Vervain. What's good? Also, you're. Yeah, man. We're having a good time with it, man. I hope you're subbed to it and watch the content if you like it. Definitely stick around and come and hang out with us, dude. We're having a great time. And look at this, just messes continuing to do it. So, but I think Vervain, you're definitely subscribed, right?
That's just Jeremy on his phone.
Yeah, it's just me on my phone. No, I know Vervain from back in the day. He's an OG, like from
awesome.
He's from Jets Talk 24/7. Green
Oh,
Bean.
really?
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. He's old school.
Cool.
He's everywhere. Like he watches Jets Talk and everything. And Vervain. Check out Buffalo Jets fan. If you like his stuff, give him a shot too. So just subbed. I didn't know you weren't sub, man. You didn't even know it existed. Well, you've been you must have been gone for a while, right? Like, because I haven't seen you around. So maybe it's like, you're busy in life. And like not everybody watches the Jets all year round. I'm excited for all the people to come back that were like during the season YouTube content people.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I can't wait until they all come back and everything, because a lot of people after the season ends, they kind of just like go on with their life, and then as we get up to the draft and this new season, that's when they come back, which is totally understandable.
How much is it going to suck to like go back to like regular draft capital though? You know what I mean? Like breaking into this, I'm like, we got 4, we got 10, we got 35, we got 38, we got cap space. I mean, if we're decent next year, it's like, which linebacker should we take at pick 19, man? But hey, if we're winning football games, it's worth it.
You know why? Because we'll be talking about projections for the players that we do have and how good can they actually be.
There we go.
We'll be talking about the current roster, not who is there, not who could be there. And to me, that's a better place to be. Should we take Matthew Smith gave us a mock draft that he's asking us to react to. So
okay, where is it? Let me find it.
It's getting a little bit of action here. So it's pretty detailed. So let's check it out.
I gotta find it. Where...
It's not up too far. Yeah, it's pretty recent.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. So and he said he'd be looking for my plane when he's driving back 6 a.m. tomorrow. Thanks. I appreciate you looking out for me. Okay. He says if we give 35 next year's second and 111 for DEEBO. Okay, so this is factoring in DEEBO coming to the Jets.
Okay, if we give 35 next year's seconds, 111 for DEEBO. Okay.
So that's so that's a 1, a 3, and a 2 next year. Right? Okay. I'm sorry, a 2, a 3, and a 2 next year. Pardon me. So we'd be keeping 4 and 10. So Kayvon, Stingley, Brisker, Pickens, or whoever the wide receiver is. So you could put in like Alec Pierce or John Mechie, a guy like that. Then James Cook, then Alec Lindstrom, and then from there, Chris Paul. Why do we need a point guard? We need a 35-year-old point guard on this team? I didn't know that.
You could get us a discount on our insurance.
I like the Alec Lindstrom at 146 if he's there.
He's dropping so much, man. Yeah, it's amazing. He was like the second-ranked center in the draft. He is dropped. It's rather. I feel like like him and like Wiedermeyer, the tight end. They have both. They have dropped. But I'm all for Lindstrom as a developmental center.
I mean, can you, Jeremy? I'm sorry. Can you just pop those drafts on there one more time? I didn't.
Oh, sure. I'm so jumpy with it.
John Nolte, once I see a mock, I bail. Sorry about that, John. It was good.
I like the DEEBO trade. I think it's fair value. The only thing I don't really like there is Stingley at 10, and then I don't know if he'd take 2 more wide receivers after trading for DEEBO. But I love Brisker. I think Jaquan Brisker, like at 35, might be the best possible value pick the Jets could make.
Jeremy, do not think about brisket right now. This is not about brisket.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think anybody's draft, there's things you're going to like and things you're not going to like. I don't know that we need a cornerback. So I don't know, but that being said, when is it bad to add a shutdown cornerback if he works out? If Stingley stays healthy, or if Sauce was there and we took him at 10, I mean, a shutdown corner is very special in football. It just is. It's like, even if you have a good secondary, I know people are saying, but we don't improve the team. We have that. No, I mean, these guys have the potential. What we're talking about is, we're not talking about getting a good cornerback. There's some thinking out there, or there's opinions out there that these guys could be Revis type players, right? Now, I'm not saying they both are going to be, but I'm saying if you took one of these guys, imagine you're mad, right? All of you that would be mad if we took Gardner at 10 or Stingley at 10, right? Then let's say Stingley comes back, he's healthy, and he's a shutdown number 1 corner, like top 3 in the NFL. Like, they don't barely throw to his side, just dominating cornerback. You're never going to be mad at that pick if that happens. There's no way you're going to say, oh, I still wish we picked somebody else. There's no way.
You're 100% right. And it goes back to what Adam said of the best player available mindset, and picking a great player regardless of position always ages well. So for me, Stingley, it's not that he's a quarterback. If Sauce is there at 10, that's the pick all day. For me, Stingley, and yes, he did dominate the SEC at 18 years old. That's rare talent, but just the D. Milner injury vibes, that's the problem for me with Stingley, not the positional value of corner.
And to be honest with you, I know it's radical. Some people love this idea and some people hate this idea, but this is the fun of it. You know who I would take at 10 instead of Stingley? I would take Jordan Davis at defensive tackle. That would be the run stopper that you could use in a rotational level. You could get a little bit of a pass rush, but he's nasty. He's a dog. And then you can let Rankins go, save that $5.5 million. I'm just saying, like, who else would I take at 10 that would be there, realistically? Because we wouldn't need a wide receiver. I feel like that's too high for a linebacker because this draft doesn't have a linebacker featured in. We haven't addressed defensive tackle, and I still feel like we need a defensive tackle whose primary job is to stop the run. So I would still – I know we're not going to take Jordan Davis, but I got to tell you, I love the guy. I really do.
Yeah, and I know people would – I mean, in that scenario, it's high, but I'd consider Linderbaum. Look, if you put if I had to bet my life savings on one player from this draft making the Hall of Fame, it's a toss up between Sauce and Tyler Linderbaum. Wow. So you draft a Hall of Famer at 10, regardless of position, that's a good pick. I'm not saying I'd do it, but in that scenario, and I can't trade down, I consider it.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you go through these draft classes and you see who's made the Hall of Fame. I mean, it's tough to find usually more than 2 Hall of Famers in a given class. Mm-hmm. It's very, very difficult to find. Yeah, but I could see your point on that. Yeah, those 2 guys, maybe Jameson Williams, maybe. I could throw him pretty close into that mix too. All right, what do we have here from thanks, Bart. We appreciate you stopping by.
Make sure you sub.
Tell your whole family too.
Hey, man.
And everybody at the network. We won't lay a finger on your butterfinger.
Very
all right. Trade for 16 and 19. All right. I can get with that. Take Wilson at 10 and Williams at 16. Okay, so this obviously does not involve getting DEEBO. Karlaftis at 19, Linderbaum if there, or safety at 35, linebacker at 38. Doubling up at wide receiver with your first 2 picks. I don't feel like you need to do that. I mean, we already have what about Elijah Moore? We already have him there. Maybe he's one of those pieces. So I could get with a wide receiver in the first round for sure, but I don't think I can get with 2 wide receivers with our first 2 picks. Not when we have so many other spots that still need to be filled. But I give you that. It's creative. I give you credit for that.
Yeah, I like it because it's different. I'm okay with that. Like, I don't think we need Wilson. I grab Williams, Jameson Williams, personally. I'm okay with Karloftis. But then I would want, like, with that third pick, let's say 10, you get Williams, then you get Karloftis, and then maybe Nakobe Dean. I'd be liking that. Get a safety at 35, maybe a running back or a defensive tackle at 38. Like, I like that whole scenario.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of talent coming in, and it is different. I'm not a fan, honestly, within our – obviously, there's some trades involved here. But if we stay put with our top 40 picks, I'm not really a fan of double dipping at any position within those top 4 picks. I think we should address 4 different needs, unless the board falls in such a way where, the best player available is there. But, some people are like, take double dip wide receiver 35, 38. I'm not really feeling that.
The only way I think I could get with double dipping that way is to do it that way. If we were to get like Sauce and Jermaine Johnson, 4 and 10, then I could get with, if they went wide receiver 35 and 38, I'd get it. I can't say it would be what I would want to do, but I could understand it. If they were to get, let's just say, Christian Watson and Traylon Burks, I think that's very far-fetched. But at that point, I could kind of see where it's going. But the idea of getting like Sauce and Johnson, 4 and 10, very intriguing. Very intriguing if it went that way. If Thibodeau were to go in the top 3. If he goes in the top 3, I think that would be a very interesting scenario if we could pull it off.
Yeah, I think I'd be more inclined to trade up from 35 to get one of the top 5 wide receivers off the board rather than double dip.
Okay. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that. Yeah, but with that, we still don't have enough depth at wide receiver, in my opinion. I still think we need to bring 2 guys in. Drafting that one guy, but I think we either need to bring a veteran in, and there aren't many left outside of like a Keelan Cole type of guy, or T.Y. Hilton, for crying out loud. But I think wide receiver, we might need a second wide receiver in the 4th or 5th round. If one guy gets hurt, we don't have a whole heck of a lot of depth, and all of a sudden, boom, welcome back Tariq Black, welcome back DJ Montgomery. I don't want to see those guys on the field anymore. So I really think we need 2 receivers, not just one.
You
can speak to me. It's okay.
It just depends on Mims, but then again, we don't know about Mims. So I've said it myself. We can't count on him. I'm hopeful, and I'm really wanting him to, really show up and work out. But if you think we need 2 receivers, you can't say no, we don't, because of Mims. To me, like again, Mims is kind of like this. I don't know. He's this piece that's going to come into camp, and we're going to find out. And I hope more than anything, he's a stud. And I hope he ends up shutting everybody up and making everybody feel stupid and proving everybody wrong. I would love it. But we can't count on it. We can't make decisions based on that happening. That's the problem.
Yeah. And respond to the chat, yes, I would love Kyle Phillips. I think it's like you're not allowed to even be in the show if you're not a Kyle Phillips fan at this point.
And I can't lie. It was Rusty who turned everybody on to Kyle Phillips. Rusty should get – Kyle Phillips should send Rusty like some of his signing bonus or whatever when he's drafted.
And agreed on Bo Melton. Between the athletic score, I believe he was a team captain and whatnot, Bo Melton definitely seems like a Joe Douglas type of player. I really think the Jets are going to take one of those types guys on day 3.
He might get picked up on day 4, like undrafted.
Oh my God, day 4! I got to be honest. I saw Melton in a mock draft. I think going to New England in the 3rd round. I couldn't believe. I think it was Mel Kiper's draft. He had Melton going round 3.
Oh, I guess one never knows.
Isn't that crazy?
I don't know, man. It's so hard to call. Those are such long shots because remember, a lot of people had Kenny Yeboah going in round 3, 4. So,
oh yeah, yeah. Well, some people had every tight end going. I'd take this guy around 3 or 4, but yeah, Yeboah kept dropping. And hey, Greenbean was right about Bryce Hall too. You got give him credit because he was absolutely right about him. Yep, Leo Chenal. It's funny. Somebody mentioned Rob V mentioned Leo Chenal. We were initially projecting Leo Chenal to be a 4th to 5th round pick. Now we're doing mock drafts and we're taking him round 2. He's one of those guys who has just gone straight up our board.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. And Rusty called it before any of us knew who he was.
Yep.
He was like, when nobody was taking Leo Chanel, when nobody knew who he was, Rusty was screaming, look at this guy, look at this guy. And we looked at his tape, and we were always grabbing him in the 5th round as a steal. And now the secret got out. But, yeah, we'll see if it actually works out in real life. But he nailed Leo Chanel. There's no question about that. Hey, guys, I think we got to wrap up. As hard as it is to do, because there's so many people that coming in and out and watching and everything. It's hard to effort the show when that's happening. But we do. I got to get you guys got to go to sleep probably, I imagine. So we got a bunch of 5th graders who need a teacher that's functional. But hot take of the draft. So we were asked for a hot take of the draft, and then maybe we'll get to talk. Hot take of the draft for me would be for today, and it might change before the draft, but let me think of a hot take. I don't know if it's a hot take, but my hot take is that we're going to take Tyler Linderbaum in the 2nd round.
Okay. My hot take is going to be, I have like 2 or 3 different ideas in mind. I'm trying to think which one is the most likely scenario, though. I'm going to predict that the Jets will trade down at least twice in this draft. And I think in one of those trades, they will get additional draft capital for next season.
Okay.
I'm going to say I have one general draft one and one Jets one. I think a desperate team is going to trade up to leapfrog the Carolina Panthers and take quarterback Malik Willis. Quarterbacks every year go earlier and more of them than we predict because teams get desperate. And if the Carolina Panthers, if they run out Sam Darnold next year, everybody's getting fired. Everybody's getting fired.
Oh my God. That was so funny.
They got to do something. So someone might want to come up with leapfrog them to get Malik Willis. And then my second, I don't know if it's a hot take. It's just more of a gut feeling. I feel like Jameson Williams is a Jet at 10.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. If I had to bet money on one player becoming a Jet, I'm going back and forth between Thibodeau and Williams. I feel like those are like 2 guys I am betting pretty hard could be a Jet. Yeah, but I don't have like one in mind. Like I was so convinced, like we all knew it would be Zach Wilson last year or whoever else or Sam, or other players. But yeah, this year it's harder than ever because it's not a quarterback heavy class. So that's why there's so many different variables. That's why it's so unpredictable. And shoot, that kind of makes it fun. That kind of makes it crazy too. So. And just to think, in 10 days, it's going to be over.
All right. Final question before we go. Over and under on Matt Araiza taken in the top 60. So I'm going to make this very, very, very clear from my take, and I'll never back off on this. If I was a GM or had the ability to control any GM in the National Football League, whatever, or had the power to make the decision, never, ever, ever under any circumstance would I take a punter in the top 60.
No, neither would I. I consider an elite kicker. Even that first 2 rounds, though, I don't know. Punter, no. I don't think I could do it.
I already don't like this guy. So his yards per punt broke Braden Mann's record. So I'm already not a big fan of this guy. No, top 60. No, I would never draft a punter until I would say maybe like round 5. And that's if I had a really good team to begin with. That's a luxury pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's a freak athlete too. He ran like sub 4.6. It's just not worth it. To me, the difference between like him and then the second best punter, and then you're going to draft him at 60, and then the second best punter is going to come off the board in round 6. I just can't buy it.
Well, Rob, we're gonna work on it. We'll make a few calls. I mean, we have sources, and we will use those sources, and we will make those calls.
All right, everybody. Hey, thank you again, Buffalo Jets fan. You know you're welcome on the show anytime. I know you got your own channel, but you're have an extended invitation to be a part of this one. So, Adam, thank you so much for being Adam. Wow, 2K99, the man
My
with
pleasure.
the data. Thank you, everybody in the chat that's watched. Man, a lot of new subs tonight. Really appreciate it. Make sure if you haven't, you go to the Buffalo Jet fan and check out his site as well. He's got a great channel over there. I love it. I'm always watching. I enjoy the videos. And, man, it was a great night. So thanks, everybody. We'll be back on Friday night. Friday night, we'll be having some fun. And then we'll be back on Sunday night as usual. Look out for my weekly videos, guys. I know it's taken time to get some traction because I don't do many non-live videos. But every Monday or Tuesday, I might switch the day, but every Monday so far, I've been releasing State of Jets Nation. So please check that out. Support that video. Watch it. Let me know what you think. If you want, if you think it should be changed in any way, let me know. But give me the feedback because I'd really like to get some of those vids, going and get them going. Maybe it's just more time. I don't know. Time and pressure. That's what they say, right? But have a good night. Anything you guys want to say, Buffalo?
No, just thanks for all the questions. You guys made it a really fun show.
Adam?
Fantastic time. Chat did a great job. We had some fun stuff to talk about, and we are 1 week away from it being draft eve, and who knows what's going to happen between now and next Wednesday, but you know where to tune in, and you know where you're going to get your voice heard right here.
All right. And with that, I will end it with, how am I going to end it? It's always a big decision. I will end it with... Oh, yeah. Go. Amazing. That's my boy. That's my boy.
He breaks away from a sack and completes the pass for first down.
Oh, Kittle just may have made the most amazing catch.
He fights for the first down and gets out of bounds, too.
It's no good. Overtime. Oh, what a catch. How do you drop that? What are you, Jamal Adams? Touchdown.
This is a touchdown all the way.
He reached over the pylon. San Francisco beat Cincinnati.